Browns fans, are you ready to take your fandom on the road? Join True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, and travel with other Browns fans like never before. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Each trip will also include an exclusive meet and greet with former Browns players. Visit TrueFanTravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package.
It's time for the Burning River Sportscast. With camp at the Greenbrier closing, the Browns will bring their talents back to the land to prepare for preseason week 1. Guess who just got back today? Them wide-eyed boys that have been away. The boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
I said the boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
That's right, the boys are back in Berea holding fan-attended camp days. Not only are we tracking practice and injuries, but a bevy of other Browns news that has Cleveland making headlines. And we'll break it all down for you next on the Burning River Sportscast. Woo!
Hot diggity damn. Yep, and actually, you said we'll get to it in a minute. That's my very next note here is, sorry. Why is everything slipping my mind? Defensive end.
Are you broken?
I glitched. What an idiot!
It's about damn time. There's no reason for a grown adult in America to be a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Joe Burrow, by all accounts, is looking very good in camp.
Disagree. He looks really stupid.
I stink. I think that still comes.
I stink. You stink. You stink. You're the stinkiest motherfucker alive.
That's going to be cut out and be in the Sounders. Rodney stinks. He said it himself. I guess we should address the elephant in the room this entire podcast. If you're watching the video version,
You calling me big like an elephant?
I wasn't, but now I am. Yes, I am absolutely calling you a big elephant.
Thank you.
You are correct. Yeah.
But basically, the day I got my hair cut, I looked like I came out of a vagina.
Oh yeah, you look like a newborn.
I mean, they shaved me down to skin.
A giant newborn, like a. I won't throw a poundage out there, but a large
baby giraffe.
Yeah, like a baby elephant.
Yeah,
like a baby hippopotamus.
I now have 2 doves in my life. Big city living and a voodoo woman named Phyllis.
Bone says he's at a Jonas Brothers convention. He's actually at home penalizing his wife right now. I really want to.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know.
We have to talk about this differently because it's pissing me off.
Bro, can I talk about what I'm gassed up about?
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm saying seriously, in all the seriousness, I'm gassed up on this.
Hide your kids, hide your wives.
Welcome into the Burning River Sportscast presented by the fine folks at Tappan Media. I'm the newly naked Kenny Thunder. As always, seated beside lead man and actor who portrayed the magical Mr. Mistopheles in the 2019 reboot of Cats, Red Hot Ronnie Jams. We are boneless this week. Let me read Bone Man's out of office. Email me one more time and you'll regret it. I'm at a Jonas Brothers live event for VIPs. Left daughters and wife at home. Call them in case of emergency. Following the Jonas Brothers tent revival / lovemaking event, I'll be embarking on a 3-day crustacean location camp to learn how to farm my very own water varmints in wet and rigid anticipation of our dystopian future where my primary source of sustenance is lab-grown scrimps. What's your doomsday preparation look like, you whiny little bitch? Oddly aggressive. Back to Red Hot. Where can our listeners find...
Oddly aggressive and oddly specific.
Where can our listeners find the dopest dope they ever heard on a podcast, as well as the unofficial podcast of Cleveland Browns backers everywhere.
They can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast, Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And don't forget to check us out on YouTube and subscribe on YouTube, the only place that you can find our video podcast. And check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Our handle for all those socials is at Burning for Sportscast. And we are on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. When do we stop saying the artist formerly known as Twitter? Do we just stop it now?
I think it always is.
All right. Well, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter.
Until it sounds normal.
When they give us a longer handle, that's when I'll stop saying that.
I agree.
With the handle at Burning for Pod. And while you're at it, check out our merch, www.thetapinmedia.com/shop. All kinds of stuff in there. Coming this week, a new piece of gear.
Two new pieces of gear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, you're correct. So you'll hear more about that later in the show. But on today's show, this is what you can look forward to. We've got updates from training camp. The field design poll is back. The city of Cleveland delivers their pitch to keep the Browns downtown. Some tragic news for some notable Browns alumni. Some trade rumors and an introduction to the newest member of the Burning River Sportscast team.
Who could it be?
So hide your kids, hide your wives, because Burning River boys are here to bring the heat. And we're going to start off like we usually do with the Burning River News Story of the Week. All right, so last week we talked about the triathlon. You know, the Olympics are going on. In case anyone doesn't know,
Paris.
The Olympics are happening. So we talked about the triathlon athletes dealing with the pollution in the Seine River, right?
Yeah.
Well, they have held and are moving forward with the triathlons as planned, and the river is being used. So it's officially a triathlon and not a biathlon.
That's good news.
Being called a triathlon. So that's the good news. The bad news? People are getting very sick after competing and practicing.
I didn't see this one coming.
Nope. So first and foremost, Belgium was forced to pull out of the mixed triathlon relay after one of their athletes was hospitalized with an E. coli infection. Claire Michel, I think that's how you pronounce her last name. She's 35. She has been sick for the past 4 days, an illness that has now ruled her out of the race entirely. And so with Belgium unable to replace her in their 4-person team, they have been forced to withdraw. And along with Michelle, Swiss triathlete Adrian Briffid, is that how you say that? Briffid?
Yeah, I think so.
He has fallen seriously ill following the men's individual event, according to multiple reports. The Belgian Olympic and Interfederal Committee released a statement saying, the BOIC and Belgian Triathlon hope that lessons will be learned for future triathlon competitions.
Is the lesson not to swim in polluted rivers?
Yeah, I mean, you think? So I hate shitting on the Olympics because I love the Olympics. The Olympics, they get me going. But France, come on, man, do better.
I mean, they've known for so long that this was happening.
$1.4 billion or whatever it was, and you didn't think to check the riverbanks.
Clean the rivers, but not the riverbanks.
What an idiot!
It's just such an unbelievable story that it doesn't seem real.
Yeah, I mean,
but here we are.
I mean, the best part is like all these news stories are like, worst fears have been realized. Like, all right, well, if this was a serious concern, what are we doing here?
Man, we literally knew it was going to happen. They considered making it a biathlon. And we were like, yeah, just get in there.
If there was any question, we probably should have just went with it. Like, okay, biathlon this year.
Just get in there.
Nah,
it's like swimming in the Hudson.
E. coli, man. Just like, I can't even imagine how miserable that is in the hospital either. Like, that's like.
I can't imagine how miserable it is swimming in it.
Ew.
It probably just smells like poop.
Ew. You get out, you take like 14 showers, and you still smell like
still on you.
Still smell like a porta potty.
Go home, smell like a porta potty.
Ew.
Back to bed.
Ew. It's just so bad. Do better, France.
Do better.
But with that, let's go ahead and get into the Burning River Rundown. All right, so as you mentioned, the boys are back in town.
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 Hell yes, the boys are back in Berea for camp after mixed reviews at the Greenbrier. So, I mean, we talked about it last week. There were some issues.
Yeah,
there's some issues.
It seems like all in all, like it was fine. It just the weather wasn't quite cooperating and some things. So
that's not usually the word you want to use to describe camp. Fine.
No, not.
It was fine.
Not particularly.
Like we want it to be a good camp or like a great camp or like a fantastic camp. Not fine.
I will say the best news that comes out of any camp is when there aren't like a billion injuries. Like we've got a couple things we got to talk about, but like the good news is coming out of the Greenbrier, the team was mostly intact.
Yeah. The biggest surprise at camp has been the rise of wide receiver Matt Landers, though. So Landers was a late addition to the Browns roster. I think he signed in May, if I'm not mistaken. And it was kind of thought, we're going to bring this guy in as a camp body, see what he could do, whatever. But
they're seeing.
I was going to say, instead, this dude's made a huge splash. Reports are that he has over 5 40-plus yard touchdown receptions from minicamp until now. So, I mean, we've talked about it. We talked about it last week. I think we even talked about it once in the offseason. The wide receiver room, although there's not a lot of, like, I wouldn't call us like the most loaded wide receiver room.
It's a pretty good receiver room.
Well, I was going to say, but it's got a lot of depth.
Yeah.
And so the tail end of that wide receiver room, there's going to be some big battles. And, I mean, he's making a name for himself. He's making a case to be on that roster, the final 53.
The dude's 6'4", 200 pounds, 25 years old, out of Kansas.
Kansas.
So it's a big frame guy, which actually like isn't in high supply, right? I mean, you have Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, and your favorite, the Venus Flytrap. None of those guys are like huge.
I think my boy's gonna. I didn't even put this in the show, but I think my boy's gonna get cut this year.
None of those guys are necessarily huge. So 6'4" is a good frame, and apparently he's just been catching everything. So.
Yeah. And the reason I think
if he was in the River Sen, he'd catch E. coli.
He'd probably get E. coli.
Yeah.
For sure. But no, the reason why I think my boy, the Venus Flytrap, is going to get cut this year is because all reports. But if they're not talking about Matt Landers right now, they're talking about Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman has been a big name in camp. Apparently, he looks like a seasoned veteran out there. There's some places. I think ESPN actually was reporting it that he looks like he might be like maybe the top receiver of this whole group, which is wild.
Well, it's what they drafted him for, right? They wanted a guy like that. But I think David Bell was always going to kind of be on the outside looking in. He was going to have to really earn it, and to this point, he hasn't.
No, I mean, to your point, he was a project when they drafted him. They knew that. They hoped they could develop him, and not that he hasn't developed. I mean, he's flashed a couple times. Be it this camp, last camp, or even in the season, he's flashed he's made a couple big plays and key moments for the Browns, but overall, it just hasn't come together for him. So, probably on the outside looking in.
There's still time. Cuts are still almost 4 weeks away. So
True. Speaking of camp, Dante Foreman was placed on a backboard and carted off the field in an ambulance, and then eventually life-flighted to the nearest hospital. This was when they were at the Greenbrier. Now, he did go to the hospital. They said it was due to a direct blow to the head that resulted in neck pain. But to be honest with you, like, this seems more of a straightforward, like, concussion, like maybe like stinger situation, and it was more precaution than anything.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of it's more of a scary scene than anything else, especially being at the Greenbrier. You're not like 5 minutes from university hospitals like if you were in Berea.
No. One of those logistical hurdles.
One of the fastest way to get him to the hospital was to put him on a helicopter. And
I know we talked about this off air, but it was kind of like, it probably wasn't necessary. It was probably just the best way to get him to the hospital as quickly as possible for observation.
Now, that being said, I mean, we always want to treat head and neck injuries with
no fun. Not a good thing.
Deserve, because they can be
dangerous,
severe. But in this case, it seems like hopefully he'll be back in pads soon. It won't be anything that's too serious.
And I know he tweeted out kind of shortly after the incident. He just kind of said, thanks for the support and everything. I'm hoping to be back pretty soon. So again, it just all points to maybe like a concussion or something like that, which is still, again, serious, but not, we're not having a situation where it may be like a broken neck or something like that.
Correct.
So as for camp this week, the Browns are gearing up for preseason week 1 matchup on Saturday against the Green Bay Packers. So they did announce the first unofficial. Actually, before we get to the unofficial depth chart that they announced for the game, the Packers. What are you looking forward to? Are you looking to see out of them at all? Anything?
Honestly, like, just being in Cleveland, we haven't seen a lot of like Jordan Love play. I'd be interested to see if he gets a series or two.
I was right there with it. That was the main thing.
My guess is he won't. I don't know that. I mean, the thing is the second half of last year, Jordan Love turned that team into a contender.
Yeah.
So
and they were sold. They gave him. He's got wasn't it the most money now? He's like per year.
One of them. Yeah. He's got some ridiculous $53 or $54 million a year. So. So yeah, I mean that's the big thing is that guy really worth the money? I wouldn't have guessed that coming into the season that they were going to give him that much money. That would have kind of been like them giving Baker that money before, like they were sure. Yeah. But it seems like they're all in on Jordan Love. I don't know. I mean, it seems like if he can cover the holes on the defense on that, then I mean maybe they got themselves a winner. But that's really the only thing. I mean, we don't they're an NFC team, so. We just don't get to see him very often unless they're playing in prime time.
I was right there with you, Jordan Love, though. Just the fact of that huge contract, and it's funny because I have such a love-hate relationship with these quarterback contracts because on one hand I hate them because we always talk about quarterbacks need to stop. But on the other hand, every time there's another big contract, what I had said when they first signed Deshaun was in like 3-4 years, everybody's going to think this contract doesn't really look that bad. Yeah. And it just keeps happening. More and more people are getting paid more.
Guys are going to make more and salary cap's going to go up. There were still other circumstances around Deshaun that made it questionable.
I mean, that's fair. I'm just saying, like, the money-wise, like the fully guaranteed and everything, it won't look as
more
bad.
Importantly to me is just, like, if Jordan Love pans out, what a job that front office has done to just – I mean, when you think about the quarterbacks for the last – I mean, what go back like 40 years. I mean, you had Brett Favre for like 16, Aaron Rodgers for like 18 or 16, and then Jordan Love could play and like they could.
If he pans out for them and he's their quarterback for 15 years, I officially that's my least favorite team in the NFL.
They could have three. They could have three.
Fuck them.
They could have three quarterbacks over the span of like 45 years.
Over the span of the Browns having like 57. Like fuck them. Like literally those. Fuck them.
Yeah. Maybe we should start doing what they
F them all.
The problem is you have to have a Hall of Famer to start with, right?
Yeah.
To draft a guy to sit behind a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I hate the Packers. You just got me gassed. Maybe I'll switch what I was going to talk about later with this. No, but the Browns did announce the first unofficial depth chart for this game. Did anything stand out on that to you?
Wide receiver room for sure. I mean, the biggest thing that stands out to me is actually like it looks like a lot of the starters are going to play.
That was the number one thing that stood out to me is the number of starters that look like they'll get playing time.
Like this looks like a preview day one roster more so than it does a preseason game one roster.
Besides some weird peculiarities where it's like
unless they're just literally going to put all the starters out for the first series and let them play a series and then go away. Because I mean, pretty much. Across the board, like the starters are playing. So
yeah.
So we'll see. Outside of that, I mean, not a lot of big surprises here. I mean, I think we talked a little bit about the like defensive line and how that's starting to stack up. So you see guys like Chris Williams, Siaki, Ika, kind of on the outside look again. Looks like the front four that they're going to go with are probably Shelby Harris, Dalvin Tomlinson, Mo Hurst, and Quentin Jefferson right now. Mike Hall obviously is young, so he'll get playing time at some point here. But then Juwan Briggs, obviously another rookie that we'll see what happens with him. And then let's see, even on the defensive end side of things, which we'll get to in a minute, but looks like they have Isaiah Thomas, Isaiah McGuire, and Jeremiah Martin kind of bringing up the rear there. So a lot of depth was on this line, but we weren't sure kind of how it was going to shake out. So those are the big things to me.
Yep, and actually, you said we'll get to it in a minute. That's my very next note here is, sorry. Why is everything slipping my mind? Defensive end.
Are you broken?
I glitched. Zadarius Smith, he was carted off the field with a knee injury. They're listing it as a knee contusion now, but anytime you get carted off the field with a knee injury, that's pretty scary.
That's bad bursitis.
That happened today.
On Monday at camp.
Monday, August 5th, right? At camp. It happened today. And so we have yet to see what's going to happen with that. I'm sure by the time our podcast comes out on Thursday, we'll know, and hopefully it is just a knee contusion.
Yeah, and I know that the Browns posted an article just yesterday that was like in Zadarius' 10th year, he's bringing the juice. Like he's all in and feeling great and all this stuff. So would be a big loss for them if he's to miss any significant time.
4 hours later, carted off the field with a knee contusion.
Carted off the field.
Yeah.
I do like that it looks like Devin Bush is healthy and ready to go, so they have him penciled in as a starter for this weekend. And really the defensive backfield kind of played out like I think we had imagined. I mean, obviously Greg Newsom's out with the knee surgery right now, but Delpit, Ward, Martin Emerson, those guys. So,
well, it's like we always say, like you get to this point in the preseason, and now it's just getting through the preseason games without serious injuries. Like that's the name of the game at this point.
I'm interested in this Khalif Hayalassi kid as a corner. Just like I keep hearing his name, and I heard it for 2 years, and I don't know that he's even going to make the team. So I'm real curious about that guy, but outside of that, nothing really significant. I guess unless you wanted to look at the fact that they have Pierre Strong penciled in right now as a starting kick returner. That's interesting.
We'll get to kick returners in a minute.
Pierre and Jerome right now is the starting kick returners, and James Prochet is the starting punt returner.
Yep. So that was actually my next point here. So, with the new kickoff rules, we knew that it'd be kind of experimental. They're trying to figure out who can handle the kickoffs the best and who kind of fits in that position and gives us the most dynamic playmaker back there with the new rules. So all these guys have taken reps at returning kicks during camp. Pierre Strong, James Prochet, John Kelly, Jerome Ford, Jalen Darden, Jamari Thrash, and Amarian Brown. So of those, I mean, who do you think is, we mentioned Pierre Strong and James Prochet, I think you said were the two listed at returning kicks and punts respectively currently, but who sticks out to you in that group?
Well, I mean, from a punt, James Prochet returned them last year and was basically all we were wanting out of someone was to be able to make a fair catch.
Please don't put any of the other guys that you tried last year back there again.
So, which was a huge, upgrade over having Donald Peoples-Jones do it. But look, we know Pierre Strong's a burner. They've got some other guys here with speed, Jamari Thrash, Amarian Brown. That I'm hoping that maybe they get some more reps. I would love to see Amarian Brown make this team with his speed. I find
a lot of wide receiver depth. That's what we talked about.
Well, it's really interesting. It's like they're all running backs and wide receivers, so the Browns are actively begging like one of these groups to step up to be like, who's going to get the extra guy? Yep. I'm interested in the fact that there's no defensive backs on this list, just because most defensive backs have some experience returning kicks. So the fact that they have like limited this to running backs and wide receivers tells you they think they have all the speed and skill they need in that group. Like I said, and that they just want one of those guys to step up so they can put him on a roster spot. But also none of these guys are like, game breakers, at least as far as we know. So.
No, and I will say this. One of the names that sticks out to me here is actually Jerome Ford, because I know that...
your day one starter, probably.
Well, but I also know that he did do, if I'm not mistaken, he did return some kicks last year at some point throughout the season in our ever-revolving door of kick returners. But the fact that he's included in this group kind of...
tells me they may be looking just for any way to keep him on the team. Yeah,
and I've been saying pretty much all offseason, I think Jerome Ford might be a cut candidate this year. And to me, this points that direction. This points like, do something to make the team, please.
Well, and the fact that Pierre's there with him, Pierre's got more speed than Jerome Ford. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see. And they also have that rookie in Aiden Robbins that's hanging out. So it's a busy, crowded running back room. The good news for those guys right now is that technically Nick Chubb's not around.
Yep. So, although Nick Chubb news this week, it's been reported that he should be activated sometime this week, and there's a possibility that he could play in the first 3 weeks of the season.
See, as much as I'm excited about that, now I'm also kind of afraid, because now I almost feel like, are we rushing it back? And I would rather have a healthy Nick Chubb come in for
Week
12
8.
weeks instead of having the potential of like a disastrous injury early on.
Yeah, I will say a lot of the reports have said, temper your expectations, even though it's this transactional move has happened and it clears the way for him to return in the first 3 weeks. A lot of people that have seen him actually running and cutting, and there's actually some doctors, sports doctors that are on social media that are pretty popular. They've said that given the fact that he just started doing directional cuts and things like that this past week, they said based off of that and the normal timeline of recovery, they predict, for what it's worth, this isn't gospel or anything, but they predict week 6 to 8 for his return.
Which would make sense.
So,
yeah, I just think
take that for what it is.
I just think we got to be careful. The thing that works against us here is that like you just mentioned, like that's the normal course of recovery. Well, Nick Chubb's not normal.
I was going to say that Nick Chubb's a freak.
So you kind of throw those parameters out the window. And look, if Nick Chubb says before week 1, I'm 100%, I'm ready to go, then hey, by all means, let's do the damn thing. But I also just hold my breath.
All I know is if he's out there week 1, I'm gonna be full Chubb.
I'm gonna be lit. That's for sure.
I'm gonna be so full Chubb for Chubb.
Yeah.
Call a doctor. It's lasting longer than 4 hours.
Yeah. How long is it? The Browns game lasted almost exactly 4 hours.
Yeah. But next up here, for the 3rd season in a row, the Browns midfield logo vote is back. I know this is your favorite time of year. You love this.
So stupid.
You love it. So here's the options we have this year. So what has it been the last 2 years? The first year it was the elf.
It's been Brownie out the last 2 years.
Did Brownie win it again last year?
Yeah.
I thought they went back to the helmet last year. Was
it
Brownie?
Brownie Elf, yeah.
Okay, so Brownie the Elf has been at midfield for the past 2 years. This year we have, first off, we have Brownie the Elf at midfield again with the helmet in the end zone. Or we have the helmet at midfield with Brownie the Elf in the end zone. Or the last option is the Dawg logo at midfield with the helmet in the end zone. So let's just start with you, Kenny. It's just me and you this week. Bone can give us. We could touch on this next week if we want to.
Bone's at a Jonas Brothers event.
Yeah, he's really enjoying the Jonas Brothers. So
he's the biggest Jonas Brothers fan.
Yeah. So I mean, of these 3, what are you going with?
Look, it just makes me angry because they're going to pick this stupid dog.
Is that why it's back on there again? Is because they really want to get this dog on midfield?
Yeah. Look, I like the Elf. The Elf is classic. The Elf is different from. Let's be honest. Like the Browns have the worst logo in pro sports. It's
the helmet.
It's literally our helmet.
I love it. I love it.
I would love for them to go with the football with a B in it, like they were like for the Butch Davis era for like a year. Just something different. I hate the Dawg logo. So for me, it's the Elf.
Going with the Elf at midfield. I'm going to go with the helmet at midfield. I actually love the helmet logo because it's such a, at this point, since everybody, it was like in the 90s or whenever it was, everybody was a helmet logo, and then everybody went away with it to their primary logos, and the Browns kept it. Like, I don't know. It's just iconic now. Everybody knows the orange helmet. So I actually love the helmet. I'm going helmet in midfield. I like the Elf in the end zone as kind of just a nod to that, to where, because I've always been a fan of Brownie the Elf. I thought it was a cool piece of history for the Browns. So I like that nod in the end zone. Even though the Dawg logo is the logo I picked, I don't want that in midfield.
I will say the logo with the face mask being changed back to white is better because someone had pointed out somewhere along the line that the Browns helmet with the brown face mask looks like a bunny rabbit pushing a shopping cart.
Yeah.
And I really can't unsee it now. So at least with the white,
it doesn't look as much like
differentiates it a little bit and looks more like a helmet again.
That's fair. All right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I am glad that we don't look like a bunny rabbit pushing a shopping cart as much anymore. But I do love the helmet logo.
I mean, especially like when you get to the primetime games and they like cut off like the back portion of like the helmet, like, because it's just like it doesn't all fit in the screen and the bottom ticker.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That does look like a bunny rabbit. They're like, why is this bunny rabbit pushing a shopping cart playing a football game?
But I'm more annoyed that they keep pushing this Dawg logo on us, and it's gonna end up in midfield, and it's just, God, I hate it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't hate it like you hate it. I just don't want it in midfield. I agree with that part.
If they were to put the old Dawg logo in midfield, I would be stoked.
I will say that as much as the current Dawg logo, that is the one I voted for out of the 2 finalists. It wasn't my favorite overall. It was my favorite out of the 2 finalists. We said this way back when. They should have just went with the original one and updated the colors and called it a day.
Yeah.
And I guess it wasn't the original. It was the second iteration. The original one was that old, like, just outline. Like,
the one that they've used for, like, 40 years.
Yeah, that's the one they should have went with. The original, like, shadow on the side of the face, bulldog-looking thing.
No, not that thing. The one they've used since, like, the actual dog pound was incorporated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's dope ass.
Yeah. It's one of the best logos in all sports.
We don't use it.
We don't use it.
It doesn't exist anymore.
Looking a gift horse in the mouth.
The only way it exists is for the Browns to copyright it and say you can't use it.
That's true. If you try to use it, they will
You're in trouble.
Electrocute you.
Whoa, I didn't think it was that far. But speaking of the field, though, the city...
What do you think happened to my hair?
Not that. Speaking of the field, though, the city of Cleveland has made their offer to keep the Browns downtown.
It's about damn time.
And so this offer includes $367 million in tax revenues over a 30-year lease term with a 5-year renewal option. $227 million of those taxes would come from increases in admission taxes, $120 million from Cuyahoga County sin taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, and $20 million in
gambling is included in that now as well with the casino downtown.
All right, well, so we'll include that, and then $20 million in existing stadium capital reserves. They will also give the revenue from the parking will go back to the Browns now. The city will turn the city-owned Willard Garage and Muni Lot over to the Browns for their exclusive use on game and event days. That is expected to generate $94 million for capital repairs and improvements. And then here's the final one, which makes me laugh every time I read it. The rent has been waived. Under the current lease, the city covers $1.3 million in annual property taxes and insurance, while the Browns pay $250,000 in rent. So $1.3 million for the city, $250,000 for the team. Under the new lease, the city would waive the Browns' rent, so they don't have to pay $250,000, but the team would be responsible for insurance and tax payments. So you don't have to pay $250,000, but now you have to pay $1.3 million in taxes and insurance. Now, I will say this does align the Browns with the other major sports teams in Cleveland, the Cavaliers and the Guardians, as far as the terms of their lease. But still, like, just to throw that in, like, oh, by the way, we're redoing this part, so you have to pay more.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of including that? So, I guess with all of that kind of explained and what's coming out of that, $367 million in tax revenues over the lease term, what are your thoughts on this?
So I think the one thing that's kind of missing here from our breakdown is that the city is still saying they're committed to developing the lakefront.
Oh, yeah, and that came out about a week. The renderings for that came out a few days later as far as what their plans for developing the lakefront are. And they claim in this thing, regardless of if the Browns stay or not, that is their plans for the lakefront, which good luck developing that lakefront where the Brown Stadium is without the Brown Stadium.
Yeah. It also seemed like that proposal had less specificity to it than the one for keeping the stadium. So
there's a lot of question marks on it, and like what ifs.
Every other redevelopment plan for the lakefront that we've heard literally my entire lifetime. Yep. So look, I think good on the city for finally putting a proposal forward, because I think most of us have just become resigned to the fact that like the city wasn't going to do anything, and they were just going to move to Brook Park. Period. Look, it's a nice offer. I don't think it's going to matter to the Haslams one bit. This is $400 million of a project that's, even if they don't put, rebuild a dome stadium there, it's still going to be upwards of $1 billion in investment. And
to be clear, it's basically been decided that this project just includes renovations to the current stadium. It is not. Correct. There is no dome. There's no, anything like that. It's renovations to the current stadium.
The existing stadium with no retractable dome, no anything. Which, look, I'm not totally against like having the stadium downtown. I think that's cool. I'm not against having the football being played in the elements. I think that's how football should be played. I just have had my eyes opened this year when I went to St. Louis and saw how cool that facility was with all of the game. It's
comfortable.
Leisure and comforts that surround the stadium. That if you had that in Brook Park, I mean, wow, just what an experience. You could go there you could use it for way more than Browns games. People would be there all the time. It would just be a little Browns village. And I just think this is too little too late from the city of Cleveland. It's not, if it was double that, if you were saying the city was
then that's significant. I think the Browns would go for it.
$700 or $800 million of the 1.2 or $1.4 billion is probably going to take to revamp that stadium. Then I think you're probably talking. Yeah. But this just to me is too little, too late. It's again. To me, in the city of Cleveland for finally putting something together.
Being in sales and dealing with customers that are constantly pricing you out. You know what this seems like to me? Column fodder. Like, this is like, we threw this out there because we wanted it to be known like we were a player, but it's not a serious offer. Like, we don't expect you to bite on it. We just want it to, we want the optics to be good for us.
And they were losing the PR battle on this.
Oh,
so they had to come up with something, which, again, like turning the Muni lot and stuff over to the Haslams, like, that's all good, well and good, but like, I just still don't think it's enough.
No. I agree.
And I mean, let's be honest too. Like, what are the Haslams going to do with the Muni lot? Like, they're not going to do it. It's just going to still be the Muni lot,
right?
So unless this
the only thing I think would come of that is there'd be more of like a game day like event over there. Like, they'd probably have
maybe like put a stadium in and have live bands play. Like,
that's right. Like up on the front of the when you're walking, you know how when you walk from the Muni lot over to the stadium, like that front end of it, they develop something down there to where it's like more of an event. But even then,
maybe you get one or two semi-permanent buildings for hot dogs and things that are out there. But in reality, like, not a lot.
You know what also happens? All the rules around alcohol, all the rules around everything else get much stricter because the Browns are probably going to want to control that. They're going to they want a piece of that revenue.
Well, yeah, all of a sudden you're on private property.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. Which, if they move it to Brook Park, would be the same.
Fair.
So
fair. It's a fair point. But I'm just saying, for all these people that are like, yeah, the Muni lot stays, like, okay, but it's not going to be the Muni lot that you remember. So
I just say, for anybody that's on the fence here, like, make the day trip to St. Louis. Just or Google it. St.
Louis, or really any of these other newer stadiums that have really redone everything and kind of made it a village.
Because it's a year-long open establishment. There are bars, museums, arcades, games, things. There's just stuff to do. There's outdoor space. I mean, it's incredible. So, and I would say what you want about the Haslams. I can't imagine that they would screw that up. If you had the chance to just build your Browns village like from the ground up, I mean, look at what they've done even over at the Hall of Fame. I mean, if it was similar to that, right? We just had dinner over at Shula's in the Hall of Fame village, and it was really neat. Like, I could see.
Well, just what they're developing down there. I mean, they got like a water park and all kinds of stuff coming in. So,
but like, just even a lot of the shops that they've built still aren't even occupied. But like, I could just see that, like, having that restaurant. They have a couple restaurants there now, but like having like Shula's right there. Like, that place has probably been packed all weekend for Hall of Fame weekend. Yep. People just like sitting out on the patio.
And I'm not even saying put a water park up in Cleveland. I'm just saying like the options that you have to do whatever you want with your village.
Well, the thing is it wouldn't hurt them to not put a water park, but you could put a couple of kiddie rides up and a tilt-a-whirl, and like that stuff would get accessed all the time.
Yeah, and you know, one of the funniest things I've heard throughout this whole thing is all these people talking about how if you do it over in Brook Park, it's just going to be a parking lot on game days. Like, the traffic's going to be terrible, parking's going to be a nightmare, all this stuff. And it's like, have you been to a Browns game? Like, that's what it is.
Especially leaving a Browns game.
Yeah, like, that's what it is now. So what would be the difference?
It's true. Like, if you go downtown and try to Uber to Brown Stadium around game time, around noon, I mean, good luck getting within 25 blocks of the stadium. Can't do it. You can't even get to the stadium. So, and if you're going to the Muni lot, you better be there at 6 or 7 when they open.
If you're not leaving the game early, you're going to be in the Muni lot for a long time.
You're sitting in the Muni lot. And even if you're not in the Muni lot, you're still on the back roads. You're on 90 or whatever's over there. I mean, it's a disaster. So,
it's terrible.
I think there's way more ways in and out of Brook Park that people will find that it will alleviate a lot of traffic scenarios.
It's like people don't understand the fact that they will probably be consulting with like traffic experts and things like that, like to develop this thing to make sure, okay, this road currently goes here, but we're actually going to build this and reroute it all the way over here on game days. So
my guess is within 10 years, you'd have 2 lanes added to either side of Brook Park Road.
Yeah,
and
that's like bare minimum. Like, there's probably so much more that they would add on to it.
Look like Orlando, like just huge lanes back and forth, because they're going to have to accommodate the traffic one way. The other thing is, too, that you have the train runs down through Brook Park, which is kind of nice. So depending on where that all ends up, you might be able to just take the train and get relatively close to the new stadium.
Kind of like you do with the current stadium.
Well, yeah, but
it's weird. But I'm just
from the new stadium, you got to go. You're basically getting off at the tower at Tower City, and that's a decent walk over the stadium.
That's a haul. Yeah. Well, you have the one that's just up top of the Muni lot too. That it drops off down there.
True. Yeah. It's still like, even from the Muni lot though, like that's the best walk you can get. And let's be
that,
honest,
or unless you're in the stadium parking, which is not as fun of a tailgate. So
yeah, I mean, you're not even tailgating if you're doing a stadium, right?
Yeah.
And if you're doing the stadium parking, like, what time are you going? Because again, if you're trying to get down there at noon and park in a stadium, it's almost impossible to get down.
And you pay a premium and all that stuff. Yeah,
it's terrible. So yeah, I just again put a bow on. Like, it's just too little, too late. I think from the city. It helps.
I think we were all in agreement on the show, right? Brook Park Dome. That's what we're going with.
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm all in on the Brook Park Dome.
Hell, think of this stuff too. If the Haslams fully control it and not like the city of Cleveland having some say in stuff, like, and they're developing their own village, like what kind of collaborations can you do? You mentioned the Hall of Fame. Like, what kind of collaborations can you do at the Hall of Fame where it's like you could create events where it's like Northeast Ohio, like full, like come to our village and then come to our village, and
things like the draft again, right? Like,
yeah,
they'd have this huge area to build like an amphitheater.
We'd be able to have the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl. You have all the events for Media Week for the Super Bowl. It would just be.
What's the next best thing to having the Browns in the Super Bowl is to have the Super Bowl in Cleveland.
True. Yeah, look, I mean, that would be huge for this.
Also, I mean, I know the chances are astronomical, but imagine if we did get a Super Bowl. We built the thing in Brook Park. We built the dome in Brook Park. We did get a Super Bowl, and then the Browns made the Super Bowl in Cleveland.
The city would melt.
The whole universe would melt.
Yeah, they'd be building a new stadium the next day.
So I guess maybe we shouldn't do this, but you know.
Here's the other thing too. Like, I'm ready for the dome. Like, I'm just thinking about the walk from the Muni Lot or even from Tower City to the stadium. In September, it's hot and muggy and terrible to walk. You'll sweat your ever-living nuts off on that walk. Once you get into October and November, it's 30 degrees or 25 degrees and it's freezing. There's no good time.
Fall is very short-lived in Ohio.
Yeah,
even though it's my favorite.
You have 2 weeks.
My favorite time of the year here
in Cleveland.
But it really is. Like if you happen to be on a road trip during the time when we got great weather in Cleveland, like you're screwed. You come back and like you said, it's 30 degrees, and you're like, what the hell are we doing here?
The best time to be walking around Cleveland is like from the end of April through like early June.
Yeah,
like it's a walkable city at that point. The weather's not too crazy.
Like you said, it's just so short-lived in the fall. So
in the fall you get about 2 good weeks. So like let's just put people inside, let them be comfortable.
I'm in. I'm all for it. But next up here, we do have some more somber news. Former Brown Ben Gay died this past week in a car accident in Colorado. He became a fan favorite in the early 2000s, and we're just hoping his family can find comfort in a difficult time here.
Yeah, Ben Gay, like I said, fan favorite. Had a number of really good, memorable games. He wasn't a long-term Cleveland Brown by any stretch, but terribly sad news to hear. I mean, he was only 44, I think. So, just awful.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, we missed it in last week's episode when we came back from our break, but thoughts are with Bernie Kosar and his family as well. He announced recently that he was placed on a liver transplant list as he is being treated by university hospitals with liver failure. They say there's a 90% chance that he will need a new liver, and he also announced that he has Parkinson's disease. So going through a lot. Obviously, one of the greats for the Cleveland Browns, hoping for better news and for things to turn around for him here. And
it just seems like, I mean, look, Bernie was a fan favorite while he was here, had a stellar career as the Cleveland Browns quarterback. To this day, still beloved by fans and media alike. And
don't forget, he went down to Dallas and helped them win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's got a Super Bowl ring. But like, it just seems like this guy just can't catch a break. It's like his history with the Browns post career has not ever been that great in terms of like the relationship between the organization and him. A lot of people have always wanted him to be involved in some way or another and just like never materialized. And then finally did, like in later years. And then the gambling thing.
Such a technicality that he was fired.
Now to have his health failing him. Man, this guy just can't catch a break. I mean, the one thing I guess he's got going for him is like this dude is an absolute fighter. I mean, he's always, had some kind of obstacle in his way. And it seems like from just reading what he said about it, that's how he's approaching this again, is just that, hey, everybody's got problems. This is mine, and I'm going to beat it somehow, some way. And I don't maybe know how that is yet, but I mean, these are just terrible. I mean, these are things you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. Things like liver failure, Parkinson's. These are awful degenerative diseases. So terribly sad, but like you said, prayers, thoughts with Bernie and his family for sure.
And I will say, I mentioned his time in Dallas there. Everybody knows the story of Bernie Kosar in Cleveland, diminishing skills, all that stuff, whatever. I am lucky, or I guess probably unlucky enough that I grew up with an uncle who was a diehard Cowboys fan. And so I heard a lot about Bernie Kosar. He actually loved Bernie Kosar because it's not a really well-known story. The fact that when he went down to Dallas, Troy Aikman went down with a pretty significant injury that year that they won the Super Bowl. And Bernie had to carry him for like 6 games, and I believe he won the first round of the playoffs for him. So, like, without Bernie, they literally – like, they don't win a Super Bowl without Bernie. So it's just a fascinating story to catch up on or look into if you haven't heard it before.
It's 2024, and I think our society has reached a point where we've become very inclusive. You can be pretty much anything. You can be a different. I
know where this is going.
Different race, different gender.
Yeah.
Hell, you could be a different species if you really wanted to. Be like a furry or something. But it's still not right to be a Cowboys fan. There's just no excuse for it. There's no reason for a grown adult in America to be a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah, you got to have something just seriously wrong in your head.
Yeah,
to make you a Dallas Cowboys fan.
There's just no excuse for it anymore.
And they like to say they're America's team and yada yada yada. They're America's team because America loves to see them lose.
They're America's bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hate the Cowboys.
There's just
not as much as the Packers though. After I just relived their quarterbacks over the past 40 years, fuck them.
We hate them more.
Yeah, I hate the Packers. They're so terrible. But yeah, so that'll do it for Browns news right now. We have a couple other topics we'll get into in the second half of the show. I do want to run around the AFC North real quick.
That's a quick run.
All the way around them. Just a couple quick notes for each team. Actually, just one quick note for each team. First of all, we'll start with the Bengals. Joe Burrow, by all accounts, is looking very good in camp.
Disagree. He looks really stupid. He has the dumbest hair.
Well, yeah, there's that. But analysts are gushing over him right now. Like, it's all I hear when I turn on all these big shows.
They love Joe Burrow so much that they ignore the fact that the Bengals made next to no offseason moves and laud the offseason that the Bengals had.
Listen, me and my uncle at a family party this past week. I may have talked about it on last week's show. I don't remember, but we made a bet that the Browns. I bet $100 that the Browns would finish ahead of the Bengals this season. And according to him, which this is a whole other problem. When I made this bet, I meant regular season. Who finishes better regular season, right?
Sure.
He comes back at me after we make the bet, and he says, whoever makes it further in the playoffs wins. And I'm like, well, that wasn't the bet, but sure, I'll go with that too because I'm not really worried. I don't think the Bengals are making the playoffs. So hot take there, I guess, because most people think the Bengals are going to win the division. I asked him what moves the Bengals made this offseason that makes him so confident. And he said, they made a ton of moves, ton of great moves. And I said, well, what were they? And he said, we shored up our offensive line. And I said, any starters? Well, mostly depth moves. I'm like, that's your number one that you go to is you made depth moves on the offensive line, and I'm supposed to be afraid of your team.
Their biggest move in the offseason was getting rid of Joe Mixon.
Right.
So addition by subtraction, I guess. I don't know. I was just like, the only other thing that
his claim was now Joe Burrow won't be sacked 8 times a game, which is probably a fair assessment, but okay. We also have what we just talked about is he's coming back from his injury. AJ Hawk talked on Pat McAfee's show about how he had the same injury, and he only has 75% mobility in his wrist or whatever it is, and he actually didn't he show it? Didn't he like start turning his wrist? And he's like, I can only move it to like here, and I can move it to here, and
not to mention they've got nothing but drama in that wide receiver room.
Yeah,
I want more money. Yeah, everybody wants more money. Yeah. Get in line. We all want more money.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still. Everybody else is high on the Bengals. I think they're finishing. I honestly think they'll finish last in the division this year.
I think Joe Burrow has the dumbest looking hair I've ever seen. And I don't even have any.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. Next up here, I haven't heard much out of Baltimore. That's literally my note. It's been very quiet, which is actually kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because that means nothing bad is happening there. Their offense was already pretty solid. They have Derrick Henry now. So
and if anything, their defense just got younger because they lost some key pieces. So.
They got younger, but I do think I think they're going to struggle a lot more than a lot of people think because they don't have the defense they once had. So
they've always fielded a good one, though.
I say struggle more than people think. That's because people think it's going to be them and the Bengals battling for the division. I think they'll finish third. I still think they finish above 500 and probably get a wild card spot, but I think they finish third.
The AFC North is wild, man.
It is wild. It is wild. So that brings us to the Steelers, obviously. Steelers have Russell Wilson dealing with injuries so far throughout camp. And it's kind of opened the door for Justin Fields, and it's looking like this may actually turn into a full-blown quarterback controversy because by all accounts, Justin Fields has taken advantage of every opportunity he's gotten, and he's looked very good in camp. So,
well, I think this was always the fear, right? Is that you knew, I mean, not my fear, but the fear of having beat both those guys there is that Justin Fields is the new shiny toy. He's way more athletic at this point in his career than Russell Wilson is.
Or will ever be again.
Or honestly probably ever was. So he has all the intangibles well, I guess he has all the tangibles. Russell probably has the intangibles, leadership and courage and those things.
I would question that because they kind of gave up on him in the middle of the season in Denver and
I'm saying he's supposed to. Right?
Supposedly on his way out of Seattle, all his teammates just dogged him.
Is Russell Wilson a Hall of Famer when he retires?
Probably.
Yes. So he has to have intangibles. You don't.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give it to you. I love to hate Russell Wilson, so I'm biased. But
it's like what I always say about like Eli Manning is people are like Eli's never going to make it. Like if you look at Eli's numbers, they're better than guys like Kurt Warner that are in the Hall of Fame, and he won 2 Super Bowls against Tom Brady. Like. You can say all I want about the mediocre years he had. He still threw for over 3,500 yards in a lot of those years, and he's in the New York record books forever.
Yeah,
Russell Wilson, same thing. The numbers are as good as they can be, and whether we like him or think he's corny or whatever, like I
hate Russell Wilson.
The dude was a winner for a long time.
I think he's washed.
So, but anyways, now you open the door to the Steelers and you go, well. Hey,
they did make a lot of moves.
We have this young guy that has a cannon for an arm and is super fast and can do a lot of things that this other guy can't. But we would rather have a veteran presence lead our team. You're really in a pickle because you got to go with one, and it's one of those probably where like whichever one you go with, you're gonna be like, should have done the other.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Good position for us to be in. But the thing that bothers me is I'm actually much more scared of this offense with Justin Fields under center than I am with Russell Wilson because I will stand behind. I fully believe that Russell Wilson is washed. I think he can still flash. The talent that has been there his entire career. I think that still comes.
I stink. You stink. You're the stinkiest motherfucker alive.
That's going to be cut out and be in the Sounders. Ronnie stinks. He said it himself. But no,
you heard it here first on the Burning River Sportscast.
I think that he still has the ability to flash that in short bursts. But I think overall, Russell Wilson is washed. He's at the tail end of his career. I'm not really scared of him as a quarterback for the Steelers. I'm kind of scared of Justin Fields and what he can do because
I'm terribly afraid of Justin Fields.
Yeah, he's way more dynamic back there, and there's a lot more to account for when he's under center.
You can stand behind Russell Wilson all you want. I'm going to stand behind the fact that Justin Fields didn't get a fair shake in Chicago.
That's true. You said the entire time he was there that the best thing for him is to get out.
And for him to end up in an organization like the Steelers.
Speaking of which,
stability and great coaching.
Yeah, that was exactly what he needed.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Bears, I can't wait for this whole Caleb Williams disaster to finally blow up in their face.
Like he's going to be the biggest bust. I'm watching all the Hall of Fame stuff, and they're just talking these guys up like they are already a playoff favorite.
Oh my God, I can't wait till he's just the biggest bust.
He's gonna get. I mean, with his painted fingernails and his
which I don't even care about your painted fingernails. Whatever.
Saying, his NFL linemen are gonna eat that guy up.
Well, and I just think like mid-season, you're still the Bears. You still aren't very good. You made some moves in the offseason, but not enough to make you a contender in my eyes. And even though half of America has you as like one of the top 2 teams in your division, I think he's going to go down as one of the biggest busts. And if he doesn't, come back at me and show the receipts and tell me I'm an idiot, whatever. But he's got bust written all over him.
For all the moves that like the Bengals didn't make, and we keep hearing they made all these moves, like Chicago did at least make moves to try and put talent around him.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to build a team around him.
That's
so like good on them for like trying to do the right thing. They're still the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
They're still suck. So
they still suck.
And now you have a quarterback that I also don't have a lot of faith in. Now, look, if you'd have asked me before Patrick Mahomes played it down in the NFL, like was he going to be the greatest ever? I might have said I think he could be a good quarterback. I wouldn't have guessed he was going to be the best. He's going to be in the Super Bowl every year. So I guess there's always that possibility. Caleb Williams could be like the second coming of a guy like Pat Mahomes.
Fair.
But
I just don't see it.
I don't see it.
I don't see it.
Agreed.
And so I guess while we're talking about the AFC North here, I guess we should address the elephant in the room this entire podcast. If you're watching the video version,
You calling me big like an elephant?
I wasn't, but now I am. Yes, I am absolutely calling you a big elephant.
Thank you.
So if you're watching the video version of this podcast, or you caught our video that probably is will be out shortly or is out by the time this comes out. Either way, it's any day.
It's
now.
Out already.
Yeah. Okay. So
By the time you're hearing this, it's out.
Kenny's bald. Our own Kenny Thunder is extremely bald. Actually, a lot of your hair has grown back since this happened, which is impressive. But he's bald and his face is completely shaved.
I've been nursing it.
So why don't you tell our listeners what happened here?
Yeah, well, this was my punishment for losing the AFC North King of the North race last year. Whereas last season we did the eggs in the mini lot, and I was hit with a gross of eggs, which wasn't a lot of fun.
Especially since they were half frozen.
This was also not a lot of fun because this was the hair that had been growing essentially since like the end of the pandemic. I had, went through all the awkward phases of like having weirdly long hair and like in a bun at work in a corporate environment, like trying to do like a.
You really stuck it out through some hard times.
Big boy job and had this like really stupid long gray hair, but like. It kind of became a part of me, It was like I have long hair for the first time in my life, and
second time in your life. Middle school, your hair was pretty long.
Well, it wasn't that long.
No, it wasn't that long, but it was pretty long.
My hair was almost 20 inches when it was like wet out of the shower and straight. And so, anyways, the story goes: Red Hot Ronnie Jams and the Bone Man showed up at my house last week.
We abducted you.
Abducted me, put me in a blindfold.
It wasn't an actual abduction because we had the permission from your wife.
Shuffled me through town, dropped me off at a hair salon, Lady Jane's in Akron. Shout out to those guys and their crew over there. They took my hair. They were all very personable and very nice about it. Did a fantastic job making me a bald man. But as I understand it, this punishment's still not even over.
It's not?
That's not what I was told. I was told that I'm going to face further repercussions at our live event.
Oh, you are correct. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me. How did that slip my mind? No, yeah. So the second half of your punishment.
So not only am I bald.
Yeah, the second half of your punishment, which we'll talk about this event here shortly. I guess we can talk about it now since we brought it up. Berea Sportscast does have multiple upcoming events. The very next event that we have is a pretty big event coming at the end of August here. Our first of what we hope to be many more season preview parties. So what we're going to start doing is we're hoping to partner with our, which we did this year, we're going to partner with our sponsor, Towpath Distillery, to have a basically we're going to
preview party.
Yeah, we're going to record our show on site at the distillery. We're going to bring in fans. We're going to sell tickets to this thing. But what's included in it is party admission, front row seats to watch us record our season preview episode, meet and greets with former Browns players. This year it's John Hughes and Frank Stams. Meet and greets with Browns on-field MC Bridget Linton. Autograph sessions with those former Browns players, a distillery tour, spirit tastings, all kinds of fun stuff. And obviously additional food and drink will be available for purchase on site. So yeah, at that event is the second half of your punishment, which will be Towpath Distillery has come out with, I think it's around 8 spirits thus far in their lineup. They have their main 4, but there's other ancillary products that they've come out with. And your job, as we're recording our episode, will be to take a shot of every single one of them. So you're going to be pretty lit by the end of this episode.
Black out by the end of this episode.
So
the last time I've done 8 shots would have been a while ago.
Yeah, and so needless to say, your wife will be driving that night.
Yes, I will not be driving. I will probably not be driving for 3 days after this.
But the main gist of this whole thing is come have a kick-ass time with us as we kick off Brown season at Towpath Distillery, located in the Merchant Tavern in the Valley of Akron.
Yes. I will be absolutely lit, so I probably won't remember it, but hopefully you guys all will. Merchant Tavern in Akron, probably one of the best, nicest, classiest, just best food in Greater Akron. Maybe
say it every time. It's
maybe
my favorite. Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite restaurant.
Great restaurant, and then you have Towpath Distillery is located right inside there to be able to tour the facilities, see how they make the goods.
And trust me, once you have a tasting, you will find a spirit within that lineup, and you're going to say, "I'm taking a bottle of this home tonight."
Oh, they're all delicious.
They're all fantastic.
I just never anticipated having to drink all of them at once.
Well, you're going to.
Yeah, thank you.
So enjoy.
Well, maybe you'll forget by then, like you forgot this time. I'll sneak.
No. This is your fault. You brought it up again, and now it's going to be included.
But basically, the day I got my hair cut, I looked like I came out of a vagina.
Oh yeah, you looked like a newborn.
I mean, they shaved me down to skin.
A giant newborn, like a. I won't throw a poundage out there, but a large
a baby giraffe.
Yeah, like a baby elephant.
Yeah,
like a baby hippopotamus.
Baby narwhal.
Yeah, something big.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you looked like.
Baby blue whale.
So, and then another event that we have coming up that we want to just kind of highlight here is we are going to be traveling with True Fan Travel to New Orleans this year.
Hell yes.
So basically, True Fan Travel, in case you guys don't know who they are, they basically put together all-inclusive trips to away games for your favorite NFL team. They are an official travel partner of the Cleveland Browns, and the event that we will be attending includes it's an optional round-trip private charter flight that we will be on, a 3-night stay at Renaissance New Orleans Pet Marquette French Quarter. I don't know if I'm saying
his name is Pete. Pete Marquette.
I don't know. I'm not French.
Pet Marquette.
I don't know what French people do.
They made it rhyme.
Yeah, I don't know.
The Marquette family was like, let's name him Pet instead of Pete.
Pete. I thought there was 2 T's in there at one point and it got typoed on this thing. I don't know. Either way, we're staying at the Renaissance in New Orleans. There's a welcome party. It's an all-inclusive cruise down the Mississippi River with the Dog Pound. That's everybody that's included on the trip.
Fan cruise.
Q&A with Kevin Mack, a pep rally the day before, all-inclusive tailgate the day of, tickets to the game at the Superdome, which is the site of the Super Bowl this year.
Sure is.
So we might have to make 2 trips.
Probably will.
And then on-site trip coordinators to handle any questions or issues that may arise. So not only do they take care of you all during the traveling process, but while you're down there, if anything comes up, they'll help you take care of that as well.
Basically, they're making an away game a home game. With all the comforts of a home game, you can go to
away.
A game. Yeah.
Which means we're going to get delicious New Orleans food.
Yes.
Cajun food.
And I have never been to New Orleans, so I am super
Nolans.
excited about going to New Orleans. I've always heard good things, but I've never been myself.
I'm a little scared. I know there's some sketchy. This is any major city. I'm not shitting on the city of New Orleans, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, and
there's a lot of murders down there.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad things that happen down there.
Yeah, they have weird graveyards.
Yeah. A lot of haunted places in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Maybe we should go on a haunted tour one night. That would be fun.
A lot of voodoo stuff. Like it's like real down there though.
Yeah, I'm in. But this is going to be a super lit event. We're really pumped to be a part of it. Like he said, we've never been to New Orleans, never got to experience the culture down there, and it's very different from a lot of other parts of the U.S. So.
I now have 2 loves in my life: big city living and a voodoo woman named Phyllis.
Find that soundbite and put it in it. Hell yes. But yeah, so if you're interested, check the show notes. You'll see the link for the season preview party at the Merchant Tavern, at Towpath Distillery inside the Merchant Tavern, as well as a link for the trip down to New Orleans so you can get tickets to that.
All you got to do is click them.
Click them. Buy them. Get them. Buy them. We'll see you there. But
anyways, that's why I'm bald.
That's why you're bald. All of that to say, that's why Kenny's bald.
Yes.
But next up, you know what it's time for?
What is it time for?
It's time for the Hot 3.
Woo, Hot 3.
Gonna turn it up, turn it up. I'm hot to the touch. Burning on. I'm hot to the touch.
And so, as we talked about last week, the Hot 3 is a new segment this year where we pick a category, any category, and we give our Hot 3 or top 3 in that category. It's just the Hot 3. It's not we don't like the top 3.
No.
We like the Hot 3.
Everything here's on fire.
Yeah.
We're the Burning River Sports.
We have so many things on fire here.
Every take of our...
Eventually, the studio is probably going to catch on fire.
I worry about that all the time.
Yeah. They give us a new electrical box for that.
We got a lot of lights in here now.
Yeah. They don't, you guys don't know this, but it's hidden behind this jersey. New electrical box just for the studio.
Bro, come on.
It's back there.
You just telling
That's in
everybody?
case there's a fire, man.
You can see start right there.
Yeah, absolutely. If it's going to start somewhere, it's going to start
Not
there.
going to start any of our overloaded extension cords or power supplies or
Listen, y'all at home would be so amazed by the number of cords that are just running through
100-year-old
this
outlets
place.
in my basement.
Yeah, it was old knob and tube in here. We said, "Fuck it, let's just renovate this thing, make it a studio." That's a little bit of behind the scenes into Burning River Sportscast and how we came to be.
That's right.
Tappan Media goes hard.
So hard.
But anyways, this is the hot three.
Hot and hard three.
From there, from this, I will be posting it on social media as well every week. And you guys tell us if we got it right, we got it wrong, what we missed, what your hot three is. Basically, we want this to become a fan interactive type of thing.
Engagement. We'd like to talk with you.
Exactly. So this week, Olympic events to watch.
Ooh, very timely considering it is the Olympics.
I think that's why we went with it.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll start with Bone because Bone is not here, but
We're boneless.
He phoned in from the Jonas Brothers concert or whatever he's at.
Bone phoned in.
The Jonas Brothers convention.
He boned in.
He boned in his hot three. And so Bone's hot three, number 3, synchronized diving.
I do love synchronized diving.
Synchronized diving is a fun one because it's pretty wild when they get it just right.
It's funny when you break down the Olympic because it's funny the things that we find interesting. Like he didn't put the individual diving.
No,
he likes the synchronized.
Fuck that.
diving.
We want the synchronized.
Two people doing the same thing at the same time.
Incredible. One person,
Way more incredible.
That's all right. Next up here was actually a surprise for me. He put the 1,500 meter. He put sprint. It's actually a race. I wouldn't call it a sprint. I guess they do run pretty fast, but the 1,500 meter is individual is what he put in here. So it's kind of surprising. It's a longer track event for me.
1,500 is that the 1,600?
No, they do the 1,500 at the Olympics.
Oh.
I don't know why. Probably because it's a round number, like everywhere but America,
That's
where
weird.
we do the 1,600 because it's basically a mile.
Yeah, it is a mile. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the rest of the world measures, in meters and not feet. So,
okay.
so
Bone likes this event.
yeah, he loves it. He thinks it's
Anyway.
great. 1,500 meter. It takes quite a bit of time to run it, but he loves it.
Well, it'll take probably about 4 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot longer than I want to watch.
True.
And then his number 1 is the 4x100 relay swimming event.
So this is like the medley relay, right?
Yeah, so where everybody does a different stroke, and it's the 4x100, which I will agree with. This is a very exciting event. I didn't. Spoiler alert! I don't have it in my top 3, but I do like to watch this one. This one's exciting. So
maybe like top 10.
definitely top 10.
Yeah,
but not my top 3. Not my hot 3.
Yeah.
Kenny, we'll go with you next because we're just changing up the order this week. So
Sure. So, number 3, the nomenclature here. So this I think is a new event this year that I've been
breakdancing.
I've been
okay.
just absolutely enthralled with, and it's the kayak cross. Not necessarily specifically just the kayak cross, but all these kayak events. Basically, they dug a new river in Paris.
Man-made pumps putting water through this thing.
Man-made
It's
pumps.
actually not new. I believe this was in the last Summer Olympics as well. At least some of the kayaking events were. I don't know about the whole.
I know
everything.
specifically the kayak cross was a new event. But anyways, this kayaking is literally they're kayaking in a man-made river. And you have to
Which
go
is wild to see.
through gates, under gates,
Around
you have to
gates.
go upstream around certain gates, depending on the color. And this thing gets wild, man.
You're talking about the one with all 4 of them?
Is
that the cross, or is it what's the cross?
So the cross was the one with all 4 of them, where they dump
Yeah.
them out of the top.
Hell yes.
And it's like an 18-foot drop into the river, which is wild with like four kayakers. And these people are like throwing elbows, like trying to get position in this thing. Like it's no holds barred. But even I found myself like just watching the individual timed events in this. The river itself is fascinating because
That's the most fascinating part to me. To your point, I just wanted to say the kayak cross. You mentioned like elbows and stuff being thrown. My favorite part is when they all get like bunched up into like one what do they call them, flag that they're trying to go. I don't know
Gates.
what their gate that they're trying to go around. And I saw Who knew this was just a strategic maneuver? But like, if two people are bunched up in a gate, the third person will come in and just like kamikaze them.
Ram them.
Like, fuck you guys.
You ram them because you can ram them into the wall.
You guys are getting stuck, and I'm going around this thing because you guys are fighting position over here.
You ram them into the wall, and then you get the inside.
Like, my thought would be, you go to the other one because you're like, I'll just avoid that and go over here. No, fuck that. You take both of them out, and then you take the lead.
And my favorite part is like this apparently happens all over the world, because before the race they introduce everybody and they're like, this is the number 3 kayak cross lady in the world, and I'm like, where do they even do this? Like, what? I'm talking to my wife and I'm like, the amount of money and thought, like, they had to bring in architects and engineers, and they were like, all right, we need to build this crazy ass river.
I need you to build me
super strong
small
currents.
doghouse.
Like, but like, it has to be deep enough that like, if somebody gets tipped over, they don't get their like, decapitated or anything.
Yeah, we could shut the whole thing off and get them out of there.
Yeah, like, I'm just like, the amount of thought, energy, and money that was spent on building this synthetic river for this race.
I agree with you. Just the fact that the engineering feat of the river is fascinating to me.
And then you throw people in it who are throwing bows and flippers at each other.
Hell yes.
And I'm like, this is the craziest sport I ever saw.
And you're not allowed to like you have to have both hands on the paddle at all times. There's all kinds of weird rules.
The way they like, you have to be like, it has to be like, the gate has to be above your chin, like, for it to count. If it's under,
there's so many weird rules.
One guy got penalized like 58 seconds.
Penalized? That's a funny word.
Yeah, penalized like 58 seconds in a race that's like took him 45 seconds to complete. I'm like, how do they even come up with that?
Bone says he's at a Jonas Brothers convention. He's actually at home penalizing his wife right now.
Number 2.
Hey, wait! Before we get off of kayaking,
okay,
I gotta just shout out to Cuyahoga Falls, where I used to live. They
kayak there.
I didn't, but they have some of the biggest kayak events in the entire state. Is on the Cuyahoga River in downtown Cuyahoga Falls.
Well, I'm just like, how do you like? Do you probably just train by just like?
It's wild. Have you ever been down to like downtown Cuyahoga Falls, where like by the hotel there, where all the rapids, like the crazy rapids are? Like, they just go down that, and there's like fucking full blown waterfalls in that thing.
We stayed the night before my wedding. We stayed at the hotel, the Sheraton there, overlooking. We had the balcony and the Super Supreme Suite or whatever. Overlooking the rapids.
I didn't, because I lived 2 minutes from there. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You didn't come over that night?
I hung out with you guys for a while, but I ended up going home because I was 2 minutes away.
And then Christine and I stayed the night we got married.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there.
Yeah. Speaking of penalizing your wife.
Yeah, speaking of penalizing a river. It's just crazy to me.
Anyways, what's number 2?
It's crazy to me that it's like happening all over the world.
It is.
Because there's a world ranking attached.
There's just so many man-made rivers.
Athletes. Yeah. Number 2, men's 100-meter dash. Look, I mean, who doesn't want to know who the fastest person on the planet is?
Fair.
You know, it's just it's one of those that comes along with every Olympics. You want to see who the fastest man is. I mean, forever we have Usain Bolt.
And this year's event was
top notch,
fucking nuts, man. Did you see the pictures where like they showed every stage of the race?
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Everybody was like
even.
Yeah, and the American dude that won it, what's his name?
Noah Lyles.
Yeah, was literally dead last up until the last like 10 meters.
It's just an amazing thing, though. I mean, and like, I ran the 100-meter when I was in high school. Like, I certainly was no Olympian. So like,
pretty quick.
So I have respect for.
Here's a fun fact for everybody. This big bald guy over here, was faster than me in high school. I ran, just to be clear here, in college, I ran a 4.540. Like, I was fast, and he was faster than me.
I was fast once upon a time.
You would never guess it now, but
I just, like, to me, it's such a fascinating race because of the variability with the top tier athletes. Like, I always knew, like, if I ran as fast as I can, like, my PR in the 100 was like 11:1.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm never going to run faster than 11:1.
Like, that's as good as it gets.
That's just how fast I am. But, like, the fact that, and I guess these races are decided on hundreds and thousands sometimes of seconds, but
0.005 in this one, to be exact.
But, like, these guys will qualify at, like, 9.8, 9.81, and then run, like, 9.65 in the final. I'm just like, if I'm running my fastest,
I think it was like 9.77 is what won it, wasn't it?
I'm running my fastest. Like, I'm always running 11:1. I don't run any faster. I can run slower if I didn't want to run as fast as I can. But if I'm in a race, I'm running as fast as I can.
Like, how do these guys just get, like, I'm just going to shave 0.2 of a second off of this one?
Well, and like sometimes they're like, I'll just shave 0.2 of a second on my personal best. And I'm like, I don't understand, like, how did that even, how do you get 1/10 of a second faster just because adrenaline and sport and combat? Like, I don't know.
I guess that just comes with being a world-class athlete. You can just turn on a whole other
Well, that's
gear
what I'm saying. It's just
has.
like the variability in like with the top two. It's just amazing to me because like I always knew my fastest was one speed. If there was a guy in the race that ran 10.9 or 11 flat, I was going to lose.
I agree
no matter
with
how
that
hard I
because
tried.
I ran as hard as I could every time when I was in the 100.
I was going to lose.
And it's funny because we actually, you were faster than me in football season. We actually never really got to race in track season because you got involved with drama your senior year, and you were in the play and missed a lot of practice.
I did.
Missed a lot of meets, and I only ran the 100 when they needed me to run the 100. I wasn't I hated running in general, even though I was super fast, and I just remember I hated running. So I was like, I'll do the high jump and long jump. If you guys need me to sprint, I will.
Yeah.
By the way, I won't do anything over 100 meters. I remember, not that this is my proudest moment in my life, but this brought back a memory. Is senior year, they wanted me to run the 400, or else we were going to have to withdraw because we didn't have enough guys that day for whatever reason. We're a fucking high school. How you don't get enough guys is beyond me. And I told them no. I said I don't run longer than 100 meters, so I'm out.
The 200 meter was the worst race for me. I hated the 200 meter because I could run about 160 meters.
That was why 100 was the most, because early on in the season they did have me try the 200 twice, and I agree that was about where I topped out. It was like 160 to 180 meters, and then I was like completely gassed and dead those last.
I ran the 200 my whole way through high school, so I spent 4 years training to run this event, and I still just 160. It's just like my time. If I ran my fastest, that was the fastest I could run.
That's all you got.
I could run my furthest. That's as far as I could run.
Yeah. Sorry,
anyway.
I said a track tangent there.
No, yeah, I just find it fascinating, and having some frame of reference for like 11.5, 11.1 in high school was really fast. Like you could qualify for like regionals and stuff.
I don't even remember what my PR was.
11.1.
Yeah. You were pretty
like
good.
the state championship probably ran like 10.7 was like a state champion. 10.8 was like state champion speed. So Alan Vanderink, I think, ran like 10.9. I think he won states one year. So yeah, just having some kind of frame of reference. I was not Olympic frame of reference, but just I've always been a fan of sprinting, and I always thought that was just the coolest race.
Old Vandy Camp.
And I think maybe growing up, like I think it was, what was it, Michael Johnson that was the fastest man in the world with the gold sneaker, the gold shoes.
Yeah.
Spikes and stuff. So like I just like, I don't know, in my mind, like growing up, like I was just always like, the 100 is the coolest race.
So here's a fun fact that I saw this week. I forget. Look up real quick. Who was the winner of the 1988 Olympic gold in the 100 meter? Just look that up real quick. So while I'm telling the story, so the 1988 Olympic gold medalists, they compared his time. It's a very well-known name. It's an American. I just can't remember what it was off the top of my head. Very well-known name. But he ran his fastest time. And what was the time? 9.81, I think, or 9.82. The guy that came in last this race from Jamaica ran a 9.81.
Carl Lewis ran a world record time of 9.79, but his record prior to that was the world championship record at 9.83.
So maybe that's what it was. Either way, what happened was whatever it was, the winner of the 1988 Olympics, Carl Lewis, whatever he ran, the guy that came in last in this one ran 0.1 faster than he did.
Oh, sorry. Carl Lewis was the defending champion. Ben Johnson of Canada beat Olympic champion Carl Lewis. So
in 88?
In 88, yeah.
Yeah, so either way, though, the loser, that last place this year was 0.1. That was my point. It was 0.1 faster than the Olympic gold medalist in 1988. Or 1984, whatever.
I mean, it's really crazy to go, because I've seen all kinds of comparisons too to like athletes in the early 1900s, but like of course those guys ran in like shoes without spikes on cinder blocks, like to see like how they could compete. There's a bunch of cool sports science stuff out there on that. But anyway, I've always just found it a fascinating.
A small track tangent turned into a big one, but
fascinating race.
What's your number one?
And number one, women's gymnastics.
Good stuff.
The men, like I watch the men too, but the women to me have so much harder of a bar to reach to be champions because
they're all more flexible. They're all better at
Because like if you look at the women's floor routine versus the men's floor routine,
the men's floor routine is so stupid.
The men's floor routine is basically just tumbling.
Yeah.
Well, the girls have to tumble, but they also have to dance.
Yeah.
And they do that on the balance beam too. So like everything they do, to your point, was like it's more about grace.
And don't get me wrong, pommel horse, impressive.
Sure.
Balance beam, insane.
Sure. All those things require like intense, incredible strength, like across all gymnastics. But the fact that the women's gymnastics also incorporates balance and like dancing, to me makes it so much harder. Like, can you imagine these male gymnasts had to like dance during their floor routine? Like, it's just a whole nother like usage of your energy on top of Simone Biles jumping 12 feet in the air.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I'll say this too, just while we're talking about women's gymnastics, like how blessed we are to have the opportunity to watch Simone Biles do gymnastics in our lifetime. Like,
she's they're
the athleticism.
She's wild.
So man. Pure. She's so strong.
She's so good. And I will say this. Whether she comes back or not, because I know a lot of people are putting pressure on her to give an answer if she's coming back for the next Olympics. She'll be 31, which is older.
Ancient in women's gymnastics.
But if she comes back, man, and she's able to win some, it doesn't even have to be gold. Any sort of medal in LA, here in the US, the next time, man, that's going to be...
I just don't know.
Insane.
I mean, outside of the fact that it's in the U.S., I don't know why you would come back. I mean, she's accomplished everything in the sport. She's
still the best, though.
She had the issue in Tokyo and came back from that this time, and they won the gold in the all around and all that. And
I mean, if you still feel like you're the best in the world, would you do it?
Well, but I'm also like, she's newly married and she's 27. Like, you're not getting any younger. You're not getting any more flexible. She already talked to this Olympics about how, like, it's harder for her to do certain things than it used to be. Like, I just wouldn't, like, if she was like, I'm going to start a family, I wouldn't be like,
that's fair.
Damn it, Simone Biles wouldn't have kids.
And
like,
I'll say this, that's totally up to her. Whatever she does, she's the greatest gymnast. I'm not even saying female gymnast. She's the greatest gymnast in U.S. history. So whatever she decides, good on you. You've done it all.
I mean, if she came back, I would be stoked, because that's what I'm saying. Like, we are blessed to be alive at a time to watch the greatness that is Simone Biles and the rest of that team. Look, they have tremendous athletes. Suni Lee and those girls like are awesome, and they picked it up in 2020 when Simone was out. But watching Simone do things that no other gymnast on the planet can do.
Yeah, the only place amazing. I was going with that is just nowadays, it seems like people are starting families a little bit later than they have in recent years.
Sure.
So maybe 31 is still perfect time. So.
True. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't surprise me if, like, she was like, I've done every gymnast, like, I have nothing left to accomplish, and I want to have kids or whatever. Like, I just think, I think the training, not that you can't have kids to be an Olympian. There's a lot of Olympic sprinters and stuff.
Serena Williams won a major when she was pregnant.
I just think it's a tougher road to go down, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think that these Olympians, people like Simone, people like Michael Phelps, like, they eat, breathe, and sleep their sport. Yeah. They aren't taking, like, I watched Michael Phelps recently talking, and he was like, most swimmers take a day off for rest and recuperation. He's like, I had 52 other days of training than every other Olympic athlete on the planet. You wonder why I was better. Like, that's so, and I think Simone's probably the same. Like, these people just live that sport, and that's what makes them great. And she's been doing it for her whole life. Like, I just don't see why she would come back. I would love it. I think it would be great. Even if she came back and only did like vault. Yeah. I'm with you. I would love it. But cool if she doesn't, then I'm, not that it matters what I think anyways, but I would be content and I would be happy just to have seen her compete. We're fortunate as sports fans to be able to watch people like Tom Brady have these long careers, Peyton Manning. You get Simone Biles like in prime time on TV. You get the World Championships a little bit on ESPN stuff, but on prime time on your cable TV once every 4 years. Yeah. And so just to have her for the memories that we'll have of like watching the greatest gymnast of all time, we're incredibly fortunate. Yeah. And so, I mean, while we're on that topic though, I do one more shout out, like as far as things that are happening right now. What a time for women's sports right now. They're finally like kind of getting the spotlight that they deserve, and in a lot of these places, be it the Olympics with the women athletes, the WNBA right now with the influx of talent that they have. Like, on top of the influx of talent, it seems like just maybe it's as a society, I don't really know the answer to this, but we're just marketing these women better to be able to
get them in front of people so you can see the amazing things that they're able to do.
And that's been the problem for a long time. Is like, well, and A, the marketing dollars weren't there.
Right.
Nobody was watching. And B, like, we've done a shit job of marketing these athletes. I incorporated related a little bit to like how baseball, like the MLB has done a shit job of like keeping their top athletes in front of people. And you wonder why people stopped watching baseball. Like, women's sports for a long time have felt that same way. Like, they didn't do a good job of getting them out in front of you.
Yeah.
It's certainly becoming more, I don't want to say like mainstream because women's sports has been around for a long time, but like they're getting more like games in prime time on ESPN and like the networks and things that, hey, good for them. I mean, we've talked at length on this show about the pay gaps between men and women and this disparity, but again, all that comes down to money making and viewership, and so it's a good thing to have more eyes on women's sports for sure. I mean, if nothing else, like these Olympics are showcasing like some of these women that are just tremendous athletes from all these different. I mean, whether it's volleyball, beach volleyball.
We haven't even talked about like Katie Ledecky or swimming. What's the other swimmer? I think her last name starts with an H. Hodge or Hogue or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I apologize that I don't know her name. I've been catching the Olympics when I can for the most part.
Olympics.
I know, but she's phenomenal swimmer. And yeah, I mean, all these athletes, like, it's just what a time for women's athletics. And really, all these sports are taking off. So it's fun to watch. But we'll get into my top three. Here's an interesting thing. Our top three are the same.
Woo!
Not in the same order, but the same sports. So I had kayak racing down. I had no idea what it was called until you told me it was kayak cross.
Well, that was just the one race was kayak cross.
No, but that's the one I was talking about where they come down off the ramp and everybody just starts beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It was my favorite. I was watching it the other day and I was enthralled. Like
it's like nothing I've ever seen.
I was sitting there on the couch, right? And I'm just like watching it. Like, it comes on. That was the next event that was on. And I'm just like, oh, this sounds cool. And I started watching it. And literally by like the third race, I was all the way at the edge of my seat, like, is anybody fucking seeing this? Like, are you watching? Yeah. Like, this is nuts, man. And like, I just start rooting for random people that I have no idea who they are.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I was in the same way. I was just zoned in, and like the baby was crying. And I was just like, Christine, you're good to get that.
I can't deal with this right now. Women's or men's or women's or kayak cross is on, whatever it was. Yeah. So yeah, kayak cross was at number 3 for me. Number 2. Is gymnastics. Women's gymnastics was number 2 for me. And I had all the same feelings that you had about the men versus the women. Don't get me wrong. The rings is one of my, it's up there in the events. The rings for the men is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, their floor routine just doesn't do it for me. Their bars routine, where isn't it just the one bar, like whatever they have? Like, I don't know.
I think
parallel
bars. Yeah.
Doesn't do it for me. The pommel horse, every once in a while, there's a really cool moment, but overall, it doesn't really do much for me to see you spinning around on a pommel horse over and over again.
Did you see the guy, X-ray, the guy with the glasses that was just a pommel horse specialist?
Yeah.
That's all he does.
The coolest thing that they do is when they hold on to the bar and they do like a full, like, they just keep spinning on the same arm, and I'm like, oh, how far can they go on that same arm?
Yeah.
But besides that, that's what I said. There's cool moments.
Super incredible, flexible wrists.
There's cool moments in the pommel horse, but overall, it doesn't really do much for me.
No.
The rings, though, is fantastic for the men.
Yeah, except for Vince Vaughn did it with a cigarette in his mouth.
Well, true.
Way
True.
more
The vault is awesome for the men, too.
So I have a bone to pick with the vault.
Okay. Bone's not here, so he's at a Jonas Brothers convention.
The vault's probably my favorite gymnastics event if I had to pick one. But like, when did we get on this table thing? Back in my day, you used to vault.
You're officially a boomer.
You used to
an old
vault.
person. You're not a boomer, but you're an old person.
You used to vault over a pommel horse when they took the bars off. You just vaulted on the pommel horse. Like when was it? Was Carrie Strung? Was that the one that hurt her ankle?
Yeah.
No, she vaulted over a pommel horse. Like that's way more impressive than whatever this table thing is.
Yeah,
now.
and you would have that occasionally. It was very rare, but I think it happened like twice that I can remember, where somebody just like missed the vault and just like just right into the side.
There was always an issue.
Like, oh God.
You had to make sure you hit the pommel horse.
Yeah.
Like, when did we get this giant ass fucking table for in case you miss? Yeah. It's the Olympics. Don't miss.
Don't miss.
Jeez.
Shouldn't have been standing there.
Like, I could see like kids gymnastics having a table for like safety, but like, come on.
Yeah. I agree. But yeah, so I'll be brief with that. Women's gymnastics, just everything if you take into account their entire routine, all the different individual events that they do, it's just far superior to the men. It's so much more fun to watch.
It is.
And the women just seem like the competition is so much more fierce with the women. Like the men, you always have like those couple front runners that you know are going to be the better guys. Whereas I guess with Simone Biles, like she's the best, but it's still a fierce competition. Like that girl that from where was it? Brazil was. I mean, she gave for a minute there. It was looking like she was going to give Simone a run for her money, and it was a outright battle for second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
So it's just so much fun to watch. And to your point, they're so much more graceful, so much more it's just a more impressive floor routine, a more impressive like balance beam, everything else that they're doing. The bars for them is insane to watch.
Bars?
And the fact like just some of the stuff they do where they just like put their bodies up against the bars and like flip over. I'm like, what is happening?
The dismounts are just insane.
Nuts. So yeah, I mean,
it's actually amazing to me that gymnastics isn't more mainstream, like as a sport to just be on TV.
Fair. But yeah, so women's gymnastics is number 2 for me. And number 1 is the 100-meter sprints for the men specifically. And don't get me wrong, the women's is exciting too, but just the fastest like 10 seconds in sports it's just insane to see. And this year, like we already talked about, did not disappoint. No. It was just phenomenal to watch. It was fun when Usain Bolt was running, but the fact that he was dominating so much and it wasn't really that fun to watch because he was so far out ahead of everybody. Like this year, it was insane. I was like, "What the hell just happened?" Like, and they announced the guy from Jamaica was the winner at first, and then they were like, "Wait, we checked the tape, and the guy from America actually won." And the guy from America actually went over to him and was like, "You got me, man. Good job." And then he was like, "Just kidding, I win. I'm the best. I'm the best there ever was." And then he ran around and he said, "America, I told you, I got this." And I was just like, "What?" Like, it was wild.
I also just think it's amazing too because a lot of these guys that are sprinters will run in other events because they can run fast. Yeah. But some guys, like, you train your whole life to run that 100 meters.
Yeah.
And you get to the Olympics, and in less than 10 seconds, your job is over.
It's over.
It's done. Your whole job, everything you get up every day and you run 100 meters over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, you train on blocks, and I don't want to oversimplify it. Like, you train on your starts and your blocks.
But that's what it literally takes less than 10 seconds to complete your event.
10 seconds, your Olympic experience is done.
It's wild, man. That's why I say it's the most. I don't care what you say. You could put that up against just about anything, and that's the most exciting 10 seconds in sports. Like it's just
bull
insane
riding.
to watch.
If you make 10 seconds, you're doing really good.
Yeah, but that doesn't really do it for me. The 100-meter sprints, that's exciting.
Bull riding, taming a 1,000-pound bull isn't exciting for you?
No. No.
All right, fair enough.
But yeah, so that'll do it for the Hot 3. It was a long-winded Hot 3 this week, but we're, in case you can't tell, we're Olympics fans. So
big fans.
Bone wasn't even here to go through his. This is going to be probably the longest Hot 3 that we do. But that'll take us to the Nick Chubb football giveaway. Do we have a sounder for this?
I don't think so. I think we just talked about it.
All right, we'll just talk about it. For the second off season in a row, we are giving away some autographed Browns memorabilia. And this year, for the second season in a row, we are giving away Nick Chubb autographed memorabilia. Last year was a jersey. This year it's a football. So it's sitting right here. Anybody watching the video version, it's kind of tough to see the signature in the bright lights of the studio, but it is there. We have a football signed by Nick Chubb. It will be going to one of our lucky YouTube subscribers.
YouTube.
So go ahead and go to our social medias. There's a link you can click on to enter. There's quite a few ways to earn bonus entries, but the main thing is our winner will be chosen from our YouTube subscribers. So make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, I mean, you get entered for your chance to win this thing. It's pretty dope ass. We need to stop giving away Nick Chubb autographed memorabilia and keep it for ourselves.
True.
I keep it for myself.
I keep it for myself.
Yeah.
I keep it for myself. You can't see on this football right now, but the other side is actually also very cool because it has, what do we call this? Like the indented embossed font on the back that says Cleveland Browns and has not only their the date of establishment in 1946, but has all the years of their NFL championships on it as well. So just a very cool collector's item piece altogether. And the fact that Batman signed it, I mean, come on,
pretty dope ass.
Dope ass.
And not only on our social medias, check the link in the show notes. That'll be there as well. So, but that'll take us to, we're going to do a quick revenue break here, and then we'll be back to talk a little bit more about the Browns. Towpath Distillery. Towpath Distillery, an award-winning craft distillery located in Akron, Ohio. Towpath Distillery focuses on high-quality spirits carefully made in small batches. Towpath's lineup includes an ultra-smooth, award-winning premium vodka, a small-batch silver rum made from the highest-grade molasses, an American craft gin made with 9 botanicals, and a blended straight bourbon made from corn and rye. Towpath Distillery, now available locally and in 46 states. Visit towpath-distillery.com to place your order online or find an OHLQ retailer near you. Towpath Distillery, handcrafted, award-winning, small-batch, local, and family-owned. All right, and so going into the second half of the show here, until we get into games and those types of things where we can really split the show up into our preview, our recap, all that stuff, we just have some topics here that we want to talk about more at length and more in depth. And number one here on my list is the Brandon Ayuk trade rumors.
Yes. This weekend they were rampant.
Yeah, they were. And so it's funny, we talked about, we locked up Amari, at least for this year. He's going to be a free agent after this year, but we locked up Amari, got that all taken care of, so there's no drama. But that's the name that is flying around in the Brandon Ayuk trade rumors. And so I guess it's the possibility of, could we unload a 30-year-old that's having his best seasons to a Super Bowl contender for an ascending 26-year-old coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons that seems to have all of his best years ahead of him?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's there's some other nuance to there as well. If I was going to trade him straight up, I'd absolutely do this deal right now.
And I hate to say that because I love Coop. Don't get me wrong, I love Coop, but Ayuk's 26.
It sounds like the 49ers may be also interested in upgrading their offensive line to protect Brock Purdy.
Fair.
So I've heard Wyatt Teller's name on the list,
which is a huge salary cap hit. So
initially, it sounded like if draft picks were involved, that it would be a first. But honestly, because of the money involved and having to make Ayuk pay one of the probably top 5 or 10 wide receivers paid in the NFL, that they think that the draft capital cost will be much less, maybe a third or a later rounder if draft capital is involved. So. But I think this thing comes down to one thing, honestly, and it's where do the Browns see the wide receiver position? Because you're good for this year with Amari, but are you going to re-sign Amari at 31 years old?
No.
Let's say he has a 1,900-yard season. He just blows everybody out of the water. And
I don't care.
20 touchdowns.
I mean, I care, but I don't care. The Browns
are going to pay Amari Cooper $32 million a year next year.
They're way too analytics forward to ever pay a 31-year-old wide receiver top tier money.
No. So. And to me, if you could unload Amari to a team that is thinking they're going to the Super Bowl this year again, who would love to have a veteran presence in their locker room and bring in Ayuk and not have to give up anything significant in terms of personnel on your line, but draft capital. I do this trade 10 out of 10 times.
Absolutely.
Because of the upside with Ayuk. I think he's a tremendous athlete, 26 years old. You can justify paying him top-tier receiver money going forward.
Yeah.
We know the cap numbers went up. We know the Browns did a ton of restructuring in the offseason this year to make ends meet. We all know this is funny money. At the end of the day, would it be tough to do? Sure, but
it's kind of like real money. It's just made up. Nobody knows.
Yeah,
points don't matter.
True. You're going to bring me down another tangent here.
I won't.
About my national debt.
It's high. I won't go there.
It's a funny story. Real quick. It's just, we keep saying the national debt doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So why? Because we just print money.
Yeah.
It's well, then stop giving our money to other countries. Let them just print it.
Yeah.
If inflation isn't a thing, let them have a national debt.
We live in a social construct.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. But To me, look, I think Brandon Ayuk would be a tremendous fit here. He's a great athlete. I've seen that dude make some ridiculous catches. Obviously, if you've ever had him in fantasy, like you're probably a big Ayuk fan. But look, it's not like he's not productive. He's had 1,000-yard seasons the last 2 years. It's 26 years old. Great athlete.
Well, that's the biggest thing is you basically reset the clock, right?
Yeah.
As far as receivers go.
Even if he's 95% of what Amari is. Let's say he never even reaches as good as Amari is. Let's say he's just really close. He's 26.
You get 4 years of that.
I know that we're not going to do anything with Amari past this season.
Right.
Maybe they sign him to a 1-year deal and they make the money work because we think we're going to the Super Bowl. But like, I just look at the NFL as windows, right? And you have small windows every now and then where you can make a run. And
honestly, I think part of bringing in Jerry Jeudy and redoing his contract was to pave the way to be able to say, okay, Amari, we're putting you on a 1-year deal, and it's it after this season.
Well, yeah, and so I think a guy like Ayuk, though, keeps that window open a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you know that you have a number one talent type receiver with Amari, though. Like, this is it. Like, this is your window with Amari. It's right now, right this year.
I totally agree. And again, as much as I love Coop, you're gonna be 31, man. I don't.
Coop.
I don't.
Not even
and again,
worried.
even if you had a 1,900-yard receiving year this year, I get it. That's phenomenal. That's awesome. I would be super pumped. You'd be one of my favorite Browns of all time. At the same time, it's just bad business in the NFL to pay a 31-year-old receiver top money.
Yeah.
It's just bad business.
And look, I'm not even against it personally myself to pay Amari because Amari's been great here, and I think Amari probably has more productive years ahead of him. But I just know that the Browns front office is not.
No,
they're not going to play there.
Nope.
So if we have the opportunity at an Ayuk trade, I say pull the trigger because I don't know. Otherwise, you're trying to replace a guy like Ayuk and Amari in the draft, or you're probably not going to get another chance at like a guy like Ayuk in free agency.
Right, and here's the thing. So even Wyatt Teller is a huge show favorite for us. His wife has sent us a Christmas card 2 years in a row. One's here. I think the other one's there. So they're both up here. We've kind of followed him along since he's been a Brown. He's got his kid was born last year. They got another one on the way this year, which I think his wife's due literally like any day.
Seriously?
Yeah. So again. Fan favorite. Like, we follow Wyatt Teller fairly closely, and we really like Wyatt Teller, but if they want to include him in the deal, like, at this point, you're a big cap hit. And we did pick up more depth on the offensive line in the offseason.
Well, I think that's the question about Wyatt, right? Your left tackle is Jed Wills, maybe.
Yeah.
Your right tackle is Jack Conklin, maybe. Who's always hurt.
Big Thanos
Also got hurt in his rookie year.
Fair.
So you have question marks kind of at both tackles that you're not sure if any of them are good or can stay healthy. Joel Bitonio's, fighting against father time.
Yeah.
Pochik has been pretty good, but has been hurt the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So like Wyatt's the one guy that's really been kicking ass.
Yeah,
pretty much nonstop.
Fair, and again, we love Wyatt Teller. I just think that at this point in his career, with a big cap hit, and as far as maximizing returns,
sure,
the Ayuk trade is probably going to maximize your return.
Yeah, and look.
And I hate to say that. Wyatt, Carly, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. We love you.
Yeah, we don't want to ship you to San Francisco.
Yeah, but I'm just, as far as setting the Browns up for the future, like, that's the best option.
I do worry about just the overall offensive line.
If that's the trade. If he's not included in the trade, even better.
But to your point, to be fair, this offense sounds and should be more of a West Coast passing offense. So guys like Wyatt Teller that can just blow holes through a defense maybe aren't as necessary if like Nick Chubb's not here next year.
Fair.
And your running game isn't 80% of your offense. So maybe you can survive with inferior interior linemen.
Yeah, that rhymes. We've got an inferior
as
interior.
You're running kind of that quick pass and go offense. Yep. And in that case, someone like Ayuk is more important than Nick Chubb and a Wyatt Teller. So, yeah, I think it goes down to like philosophy going forward. We know that Kevin Stefanski wants to run this, run and shoot or run and gun air raid offense. It's all we've heard since he's gotten here. It's just you have the best running back on the planet. Yeah. It's a problem standing in their way.
Yeah. But I do think we're in agreement. I think if you have a chance to make the Ayuk trade, you make the Ayuk trade. If you can make it work money-wise and do everything that you need to do, then do it, because...
And the money thing is just like you keep saying about Deshaun's contract. Like, we would probably make Ayuk the number one top-paid wide receiver in the NFL. And then
a couple years, it won't be that bad.
And then in the offseason,
well, especially because wide receivers are right in the middle of, like, they need to stop, too. So.
And then in the offseason, it's going to be Jamari Chase. And it's like, it's just going to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Like, Jamari.
We've got Amari. They've got Jamar.
I got Amari on the brain. Jamar Chase. Like, it's just going to be the next guy up. Like, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
So, the pain is only temporary.
Fair. And so next up here, I want to... It's time.
I wanna. Is that like the Spice Girls song? Tell me what you want.
If you want to be my
really,
lover,
really
you gotta get with my friend.
I wanna.
I really, really, really want to. Say,
Yeah, whatever that means.
Yeah, I don't know. But no, it's time. It's time to introduce everybody to the newest member of our team.
Who's it gonna be?
You want to know?
Is it a famous person?
No.
Oh.
Right now we have someone that we'd like you to meet. So with the passing of SJ and in the aftermath...
R.I.P.
Yes. And in the aftermath of the Dog Pound logo competition last year, we decided that we wanted our own dog to represent the Burning River Sportscast. And thus, River was born. A dog sired by dogs. A dog whose lineage can be traced back beyond Charlemagne. He's often found sleeping on a bed of hot coals. He has one meal a day, breakfast, for which he eats lightning and nothing else, just to establish his dominance over Kenny Thunder. He's hotter than Red Hot Ronnie Jams, and he is the bone man's greatest fear. As he doesn't just chew his bones, he turns them to ash. River is the embodiment of all things Burning River Sportscast, and he is here to stay. Oh, and he never poops.
That's a huge bonus.
Yeah. So when you get your River merch and wear it with pride, knowing that he vanquishes all enemies, both foreign and domestic, in search of his one true love, a Browns Super Bowl. So join us and welcome River. Burning River. Burning River.
We're not going to burn River, but he is burning River.
He's got some flames on his collar. He's burning his collar's on fire.
Everything here has flames.
Yeah. He's burning River.
It's just the way it's got to be.
Do you get it? Burning River.
Burning River.
Burning River.
Sportscast.
Our official dog.
Welcome to the Dog Pound.
Yeah. But that'll lead us to check it out. We do. That was what we were talking about earlier in the show. We do have merch that's dropping this week for him.
Yes.
That's important.
We got Dustin Greater Than Justin merch.
We got Dustin Greater Than Justin merch,
and all new stuff with our best friend River on it.
Yep, hats, shirts.
Just remember, a river runs through it.
A river runs through it. Nice. Good choice there. But that'll lead us to Gassed Up. All right, so this is the segment of the show where we like to either vent about what's pissing us off or tell you about something that's making us super excited. And so, Kenny, what's got you gassed up this week?
I'm gassed up. I'm going back to the Olympics.
Okay, let's hear it.
We just got done talking about how great Simone Biles is.
The best.
Best of all time.
Greatest of all time. Did you see her goat necklace? That was pretty cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Greatest of all time. Michael Phelps.
That guy's pretty good.
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I've had enough with the most decorated Olympian of all time.
There's like 14 different most decorated Olympians of all time. Every time they say a new one.
Not only that, it's not even a fair game to play, right? Because LeBron James plays in one event.
True.
If there was a dribbling event and you got a gold medal for dribbling or a gold medal for the...
You get a gold medal for dribbling every day.
You get a gold medal for the highest vertical leap or a gold medal for...
That's called the high jump.
No, but in basketball. Like if you
Yeah.
the keys,
I got you. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Or if you get like a 60-yard dash on a basketball court and LeBron James had the chance to medal in 8 events every Olympics, he'd be the greatest, most decorated Olympian of all time. The fact that swimmers and gymnasts get to compete in 65 different disciplines.
Yeah, I mean, you even take it to track and field. Like if you're a sprinter, you only do like 100, 200.
Yeah.
If you're a mid distance, you do like 400, 800. Like if you're a distance runner, you do like 1500 and up. Like
I would die on the hill that like Simone Biles is the greatest athlete I've ever seen in the Olympics. But like she's also just not playing a fair game. Like there may be very good athletes, like best athletes in the world to play beach volleyball.
So you were so basically what we're getting at is you really built Simone Biles up throughout this whole show, and now you want to shit on her.
I'm not trying to take her down, but I'm more so trying to take down like Katie Ledecky and Michael Phelps, because you can't just
They swim a lot.
They swim nonstop. They're just the best swimmers on the planet. Okay, yeah, you're the best swimmer on the planet, but like you swim every event. You can swim all the events. There's no other sport outside of like gymnastics, I guess, because you can do individual across all the different disciplines. But
the only difference is, like I mentioned, track, and you have sprinters, mid distance, and long distance. It's kind of that way in swimming, but it's only divided up into two. You're either a sprinter, which is like the 50 and the 100, or you're Katie Ledecky and you do everything like 400 and above.
Well, yeah, like Katie Ledecky and Michael Phelps swam like every race, basically.
Yeah, but they don't do sprint. Phelps did, but Katie Ledecky doesn't do the sprints.
She was in the 4x200, and she was her strongest leg.
That's true.
She caught him back up.
That's true, I guess.
I'm just like, if you're the fastest swimmer in the world, you have the ability to compete in so many more events. So, like, of course, you're the most decorated athlete of all time. But, like, LeBron James is going to go to, what, 3 or 4 Olympics in his lifetime? The kid that specializes in pommel horse, X-ray with the glasses, if he went to 4 Olympics...
I like that he's officially been nicknamed X-ray.
If he went to 4 Olympics and the men's team won gold and he won the pommel horse, he'd be more decorated than LeBron James. Is he a better athlete?
No.
So we have to talk about this differently. Because it's pissing me off. Not to take anything away from Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky. Great. You're the best swimmers in the world. I agree. But like we put these guys on everything. Like they're the greatest Olympians of all time.
I want to add something to that, just to change how we talk about these things. You know what I get sick of is turning on the Olympics, and depending on which event, it's either the most decorated Olympian of all time or the most decorated women's swimmer of all time. Like everybody's the most decorated something of all time, and that's all they talk about the entire broadcast. And it's like, all right, well, how many different most decorateds can we have of all time? Like,
There's only
it's
overrun.
Yes. Like
overrun with decorations.
You need to tone down on the decorations.
Decorating has to stop, and the best of all time has to again. You can be the best of all time in your discipline. Like, Simone Biles is the best gymnast of all time. She's the B-goat.
The B-goat.
And Michael Phelps can be the B-swoat. He's the best swimmer of all time. But you can't just be the GOAT. You can't be the greatest of all time. You're not better. Simone Biles isn't a better swimmer than Michael Phelps.
True.
And Michael Phelps can't do a vault.
I venture to guess that Simone Biles, because she's 4'8" and is built like a gymnast, is probably a terrible swimmer.
Probably, yeah.
She's probably not very good.
She's straight muscle.
Yeah.
Her whole body is a muscle.
Like she would just sink.
Yeah.
Because she's just muscle.
Yeah.
Not that those guys aren't just muscle too, but
True.
like they're built for swimming. She's built for doing things on a balance beam and on the floor.
Michael Phelps is built like 3 surfboards put together.
Michael Phelps is a freak.
He's just flat.
He's a freak, man. When he puts his arms out too, you're just like, what is this guy?
He's basically a human fish.
Yes.
But I'm just so sick of calling these people the greatest Olympians of all time. Like, I don't know how many different shooting events there are, but like if a girl could win 3 shooting events.
You brought up something that I know that he's been kind of going viral. The dude that just raw dogged the shooting event. Everybody's got all this gear that they're wearing to like blind everything out in between, and the dude's just like, fuck it, both eyes open, just bam, just bullseye, like bitches.
Like a former KGB agent or something.
Yeah,
I was just like, I got this.
I was like, what, dude?
Yeah.
When he came up to shoot, I actually watched that competition. When he first came up to shoot, I was like, there's no way this guy's going to get shit on. And he just stone face, just
He did raw dog.
Bullseye, just done.
And it was impressive.
I was like, what is happening? What, did he win a silver or bronze or whatever he won?
I think he won silver, but yeah, like if that guy,
that was impressive.
If that guy competes in the other shooting events,
greatest shooter of all time.
We call him the greatest Olympian of all time. If he won 3 medals at every event, like
you don't know.
How long? You're not in your prime of shooting. That guy could go to the next 12 Olympics.
That's another thing that's not fair. Like, what about these guys that could play? They could play so much longer.
By the time you're 22 as a gymnast, you're a grandma. Like you're shunned out of the sport.
True. So you're gassed up, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm gassed up because everyone's the most decorated and best Olympian of all time based on the sheer number of medals you have. No, you have a sheer number of medals because you can compete in all the different events.
Yeah, fair.
Like, you could think about how many golf medals we could give out. We could give out short game medals, long drive medals, putting medals.
That's another tangent we go down. Scotty Scheffler, what a year that dude's having. Holy shit, bro.
You win everything, make $30 million.
You get arrested.
Go to jail.
Win the gold medal coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
But, like, that guy should get just medals for his life.
Yeah.
He could be the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Bro, can I talk about what I'm gassed up about?
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I'm saying seriously, in all the seriousness. Fuck you, I'm gassed up on this. In all seriousness, like, why not have a short game?
I'm so dizzy. I think I'm going to die right now.
Why not have
it's happening.
Why not have a short game discipline? Why not have an eye closer to the pin? Why not have a bingo, bango, bongo in the Olympics?
I don't know.
Scotty Scheffler could win 10 of them in this Olympics and he'd be the most decorated Olympian of all time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gassed up about.
I'm going through a fit right now where I'm literally dizzy. Like, it feels like I'm going to pass out. You know what? I'm not going to switch my gassed up completely, but let's talk about this. So that gets me gassed up is how come, I know you get this because we've talked about it. How come just randomly, since I'm an adult now and I'm over 30, like I have dizzy spells where I just get vertigo and I'm like, what the fuck is happening to me right now? Am I going to have an aneurysm? Am I going to die like in 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Like, it happened to me around lunchtime. There was an excuse that time because I was at a work event today and it was 92 degrees out and we were in the sun all day. It was outside. So I was like, I'm just hot. I need to go get in the shade and get some water. And I did, and I was fine. Well, I just had it again right now. I'm in an air-conditioned studio just listening. I wasn't even gassed up. I was just listening to you get gassed up. And here I am just dizzy spell, about to pass out. I don't really know what's happening. But
maybe you need medicated.
Maybe. I don't Medicaid.
I've been... So it beat Medicare. I have
it's happening again.
I've had less of those spells since I was medicated.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways, I digress. My real gassed up is flash floods. The fuck, bro? Like,
they're dangerous.
I'm gassed up on these things for 2 reasons. One, I'm pissed off about them. They just destroy everything.
True.
That one just hit. I know we were talking about this before the show. One just hit close to us in Portage County in Ohio. And just like took out a trailer park.
Yeah.
Like everybody's stuff was just done.
Flooded.
It's over. Like, what the fuck?
How does it just rain that fast, that quickly?
Yeah, that's my second part of it. So not only am I pissed off that they just destroy everything, I'm amazed that, like, yeah, how does it just rain so much so fast that we have absolutely zero warning and everything's a flood?
I could see, like, if you were in the Amazon, because I feel like it rains way different there than it does here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it comes down so hard you couldn't stand outside.
We just live in most people, in case you aren't from Ohio and you're listening to this, which, okay. Other than Browns backers, I don't really know what you're doing.
Green Bay Packers fans.
Yeah, idiots. Yeah, I got a problem with you, Green Bay Packers fans. You have had 3 quarterbacks in 40 years. Fuck you. Anyways, I mean, Ohio's pretty flat. Like, it's mostly just farmland.
Yeah.
And so, like, what the fuck is happening here that there's just a flash flood that takes out whole communities? Like, it's not like you live in a valley where you're just in a basin and everything's collecting there. Like, it's pretty hard for that to happen here.
Well, that's what I never understand about a flash flood is because, like my basement could flood because there's walls in here. Yeah. There's no walls outside.
Right. Like, how did something just, like, that much stuff just, like, dump into this area right here?
I remember working in Cleveland a couple times. There was flash floods that, like, filled the parking lot at, like, a Walmart. And I'm like...
The fuck happened there?
How? People were kayaking through the Burger King drive-thru.
Yeah, I remember that. That was wild.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 years ago?
But still, how does it happen? I mean, I get, like, the ground can't absorb all the rain that fast. But, like, why?
It does every other time, just not this time? Like, are you fucking me? I'm really gassed up about this because it just doesn't make any sense. I'm just absolutely flabbergasted.
Yeah. Flash floods are no good, man. And the thing is like, they come out of nowhere. And you get the little warning on your TV. It's like, there's a flash flood in your county. What?
We're about to see a whole bunch of them because South Florida is about to get hit with the hurricane.
Debbie.
And they're literally, I heard it on this was the phrase they used on the news today, is they said, yeah, it's a hurricane, but we're looking at this as more of a rain event.
Excellent.
Like, okay, so flash floods. That's what you're telling me. It's going to flash flood. And it's not even a flash flood at that point. It's just a flood because you guys have known about it for weeks.
The worst rain
it's going to happen
of our lives was still Katrina.
Yeah.
And we weren't even like in the epicenter. Like we just got Katrina like 2 weeks later, like straight rain for 2 straight weeks.
It was so rainy.
And we missed like all of 2 days in camp and football, and then everybody got hurt because we were practicing in the gym.
Yeah, and so bringing it back to our time in New Orleans, like I actually is one thing I'm looking forward to seeing is like how much they've rebuilt the area, like all of New Orleans after.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of building down there to fix all.
And I know there's still some problems down there because of that, and there's still some areas that are, to this day completely devastated because of it.
Oh yeah, like I said, they got it way worse than we did. But I'm just saying, like from a rain event perspective, I remember like it had to rain for at least 10 days straight.
Yeah,
like hard rains.
Oh yeah,
like so hard we could not go outside. Everything was flooded.
Fucking flash floods, man.
Rain.
Triple F.
Rain's crazy.
Yeah, rain makes corn. Corn makes whiskey. Whiskey makes my baby.
Frisky.
Yeah.
All right, so flash floods gas you up.
Flash floods gets me up. You don't get me started on flash floods. I could talk all day about flash floods. But before we get going here, because that'll do it for the main part of our show here, let me remind you to call the Burning River Sportscast Hot Take Hotline. Don't forget to call and leave your hot takes on the Hot Take Hotline.
We want hot
Remember,
takes.
These are hot takes. We want hot takes. We want hot takes.
We want hot takes. We want hot takes.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080.
330-227-8080. Call now. Operators are not standing by because it's an answering machine. We'll just put your hot takes on the air. Yeah. And be sure to check out our gear at www.thetapidmedia.com/shop. And that'll do it for us. What can we expect next week, Kenny?
What you can expect is Dustin Greater Than Justin shirts.
Hell yes.
And new merch with our dog, River.
Burning River.
After that, you can just expect the next weekly installment of the Burning River Sportscast because we are back, baby.
We are back.
We'll continue to catch you up on the latest training camp and preseason happenings. And don't forget to check out our social media for upcoming events and daily Browns news. And let's see, there's a Browns game this weekend.
Saturday.
So we're actually going to have film and game to break down on Monday.
I'm excited. I know we didn't preview it too much, but let's be honest, it's a preseason.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to preview a preseason game.
Break down the game.
I don't even really know who's actually going to play. Like if that depth chart is legit or if it's just like what they released to release.
We're not going to like break down the game per se either. We'll break down individual performances and where we think things are.
There's football for us to dissect.
But yes, there's football to talk about. So that's what you can expect next week.
And don't forget to check us out on social media. Tapin Media is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at The Tapin Media. And Burning River Sportscast, that's this podcast. That was weak. Burning River Sportscast, that's this podcast is on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I don't know. Burning River Sportscast, that's this. This podcast is on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Burning River Sportscast. We are on X at Burning River Pod. You can find our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Talk at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Podcast Castro, Good Pods, and so many more. And you know that take us to Kenny.
Facts for days.
What do you got for us, Kenny? I want to hear these.
It's time for Facts for Days.
Facts for days.
These are no particular theme today. Just
potpourri.
This is a potpourri of Facts for Days.
Sometimes these are the best days.
This is like when you beat me with
because you take me in all different directions. I don't know what's happening.
This is like when you beat me with the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Is that the most devastating moment in your life to this day?
I lost in Nintendo Jeopardy. Nintendo Entertainment Center Jeopardy.
We were neck and neck down to Final Jeopardy.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
That's what I wanted on.
The game came out in
the oldest written story of all time.
The game came out in 1986. And so none of the answers were even really pop culture relevant to like our lives.
Nope.
But Epic of Gilgamesh apparently was to you.
Hey.
Facts for days. Number 1. Snails.
Oh.
Escargot. You had escargot on a Browns fan cruise.
I did. It was good. And this is actually one of my favorite words that my daughter pronounces right now. She says snails.
Well, you can let her know that snails have anywhere from 1,000 to 12,000 teeth in their heads.
Wait. Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, your snails, they have 12,000 teeth.
No way. How do they all fit in there? Like, how big are they? What the?
Very small.
I'm dizzy again.
They're going to fit inside of a snail's head.
Oh, my God.
Number 2.
Wait. 1,000. Did you say 1,000 to 12,000 or 1,000 to 1,200?
1,000 to 12,000.
That's a really big gap. Like, how do they?
Snail.
I don't.
Depends on the snail.
That doesn't even make
If the
sense.
snail makes it into escargot, the teeth melt. No teeth.
What?
Yeah.
What's number 2? I can't with number 1. Number 1 has blown my mind. I'm already there.
Yeah, I'm going to pose this one as a question just to let you guess.
Okay. I don't usually guess things on Facts for Days, but I'm here.
This American president had himself a pet hyena.
Hyena, huh? So we got to be talking about a pretty eclectic fella,
Fair.
right?
Yeah,
So
it was eclectic.
I'm going to go with Teddy Roosevelt.
Wow. You win Facts for Days. That's not really how this works, but you win, I guess.
I did it. He's the most eclectic president. It's just a weird thing that I know about Teddy Roosevelt. He had a lot of weird quirks about him.
Teddy Roosevelt had himself a pet hyena.
Nice. Brilliant portrayal of Teddy Roosevelt in Night of the Museum by Robin Williams.
Did he have a pet hyena? Is that why I screwed up?
I don't know. I don't think he did. Number 3. That one wasn't exciting because I knew it. I'm pretty proud of myself. I would have beat you in Final Jeopardy again.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
Number 3. And then we'll bring it home to the Olympics.
Okay.
Well, at least to Paris, anyway.
Yeah.
The Eiffel Tower was originally proposed to be in the city of Barcelona in Spain.
Ooh, Spain.
Was rejected 3 times. Thrice.
Cockadoodle once. I shall not deny him. Cockadoodle twice. I shall not deny him. Cockadoodle thrice. I deny him.
Spain rejected this thrice, fearing that it would become an unwieldy eyesore.
What a bunch of idiots.
Even after it was decided on Paris, it was still only supposed to be temporary for the Paris World Fair in 1889.
I did know that part of it.
It was intended to be demolished in 1909 after a lifespan of 20 years. But it has lasted considerably longer.
A really long time.
It proved to be incredibly important for communications, which is a good example of an original intention discovering a new purpose.
Yeah. But there's so many 5G towers on that thing right now.
Yeah. And Celine Dion.
And Celine Dion. How do you think you can watch her so clearly? It's because there's 5G towers all over the place right next to her.
Yeah. So it was almost a problem, but it wasn't. They fixed it. But that's Facts for Days.
I thought you were going to, I don't know.
Don't just be a part of the problem, be the whole damn problem.
And only you can prevent river fires. Burning River Sportscast.
Yes.
Burning River.
Burning River.
Get your river merch.
Get your river merch right now.
Burning River.
Go buy it. Dustin greater than Justin.
www.btapinmedia.com/shop.
Did you watch any of SummerSlam?
I didn't, unfortunately.
You missed a good show.
I saw Triple H come out and say, "Welcome to SummerSlam.
I am the game.
It's time to play the game."
Yeah.
He knows it's time.
It's time.
It's time for
Time
the
to
Burning
play the game.
River Sportscast. We're not. Oh, sorry.
That's fine. That's it. That's all I got. That's the end. That's the end of the show.
Good night, Cleveland.
Good night, Cleveland.
I now have two loves in my life. Big city living and a voodoo woman named Phyllis.
Motorboat? You play the motorboat? You motorboat son of a bitch. You old sailor, you.
You know what I was thinking during that interview?
What were you thinking? Nothing, because you don't have thoughts because you're a brainless idiot.
Wow.
My name is Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
By the way, I want my foreskin back.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Women's Guide to Anal Sex, and it was the second edition. Who makes a second edition?
The weather outside is weather.
The other one, the finger eating food fingers.
Oh my God! My house is full of shit! He's shit everywhere!
Yes.
Ejaculate all over my body and my genitals.
Yes.
Oh no! We suck again!
You don't need fundamentals when you got heart.
and Jesus.
And Jesus.
That's right.
Touchdown.
Number
Anyways,
one.
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
it's going down. I'm
yelling
yelling timber.
Goddamn jets.
Are we gonna?
You're only in this city.
Should we start a meat podcast of like
the meat pod?
slow roasted?
The leads are weak.
Leads are weak. Fucking leads are weak. You're weak.
All I do is win no matter what.
Erroneous. Erroneous on both counts. Oh Lord.
I mean, last year when I won and went home, my wife's pants hit the ground.
Wow.
But damn.
Well, I'm sorry. I hijacked your segment for a second to do some good podcasting.
You know why, mister? Because you drove a Hyundai to get here tonight. I drove an $80,000 BMW. That's my name.
I think we've officially lost all of our more conservative viewers. So I don't think they want to listen any longer.
This is
just happened?
It's Mother Nature.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Where's Logo Girl when you need her?
I desperately want to make love to
It's cheese.
We
girl.
need Cheese Girl now.
Down goes Anderson! Down goes Anderson!
Who's canceled now? Who's canceled now?
Probably me.
You making it for the fat people?
I'm not. Just you.
We're a whole race, basically.
No way. You just finger bang their salad. What?
You first get shocked, and then you get the shocker.
Hey, you like to see homos naked? That's cool, man. Whatever. No.
Most people, they're driving along and they're in between meals. They're like, I'm a little hungry. I'm going to have a granola bar. And he's like, I need a cheeseburger.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you were here?
Today's episode was brought to you by Towpath Vodka. Towpath Vodka, an award-winning, ultra-premium, extremely smooth, high-quality vodka. 6 times distilled and made from Midwest corn and Ohio fruit. Clean and crisp, a truly high-quality spirit made right here in Northeast Ohio. Available locally in Northeast Ohio and online in 46 states. Towpath Vodka.
Browns fans, are you ready to take your fandom on the road? Join True Fan Travel, an official fan experience partner of the Cleveland Browns, and travel with other Browns fans like never before. Everything is taken care of. Flights, hotels, tailgate, game tickets, transportation, food, drinks, everything that's important to Browns fans. Each trip will also include an exclusive meet and greet with former Browns players. Visit TrueFanTravel.com today and reserve your ultimate Browns travel package.